How we doing, everybody? And welcome into Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is a Friday here in the state of Wisconsin. We made it to the weekend. It's telling me next week is supposed to be just blistery cold out there. So I can't wait. I can't wait for the cold. It's like you get out of it for a couple days, you get some 30s, and then all of a sudden it's just like, boom. There you go. Global warming's not real. That's what they keep this weather keeps telling me right now. I'm just joking for everybody out there. I'm just joking. I don't know, but I know it's cold right now. So we got lots to get into tonight. Aaron, how we doing on this Friday?
Yeah, not too bad. A lot going on in over here, but yeah, not too bad. Honestly, it's we'll round the corner in the Monday with the college national championship, which I think gets forgotten about already just because of the timing of it. But that's kind of unfortunate just because it's like that's the last college game. But hey, we got the NFL playoffs rocking and rolling, and then I mean, as you know, we'll talk baseball tonight. Not for the best reasons, but we'll try and keep it high spirits as who we will talk about would want us to. And speaking of that, we just before you know it, pitchers and catchers will report. So just kind of like a weird time in sports right now, but not complaining. Not complaining.
No, not complaining at all. And it's just a crappy week. That's all that it was. They always ask you those little things that you do in life, and you're like, where were you when this happened or this happened or this happened? It's like, where was I when Bob Uecker passed away? Like when I found out. And I was working. I was standing in the middle of a cow barn, and I was getting my uncle's calling me, and I'm like, I can't answer the phone. I'm busy right now. And then all of a sudden, my wife's texting me, and she's like, did you see this? Did you see this? And I'm like, I can't open up links right now, so I have no idea what's going on. And then like half an hour later, I walk out, look at my phone, and I'm like, you have got to be kidding. Like, no way. Like, no way this is the truth right now. And then you look all over the place, and the story's there. Bob Uecker has passed away at the age of 90. And when I didn't think, I didn't know Bob, right? I didn't know Bob personally. Like, neither one of us did. We didn't know Bob personally. But I don't know. When I heard that, like, I just sat there. And, like, my coworker and I, we were driving to the next farm we were going to, and I'm just kind of just in my own world, just driving, not saying a word. And he's not much of a baseball fan. He's not much of a baseball fan at all. Like, doesn't know much about baseball. I mean, but sorry, he tries to talk to me about it, but he doesn't talk baseball. And he turns and he looks at me and he goes, this is a crappy day. That's all he says. And that tells you how much he meant to the state of Wisconsin, not just baseball fans, but to the state of Wisconsin. I mean, it was just, when I tell you something could devastate you like that, that was devastation at its finest. Like, he was a friend without knowing that he was your friend. And I think he knew that. He wanted you to know that in your worst times, in your best times, he was your friend. He was there. You turned on the radio, whether it was, during the workday or it was, on the weekends, or you're out on the boat, or you were, whatever you were doing, you just turned on the radio, and there was Bob. And he made spring feel like summer, and he made summer feel amazing. And it's just a voice that I don't think is ever going to be replaced. I don't. And I was sitting there and I was listening to his calls and some of the calls that he made, some of the big moments and everything like that, right? Robin Yount breaking records, and, the walk-off home runs that the Brewers have had over the years. Ryan Braun with a walk-off there, put the Brewers in the playoffs. Christian Yelich and Braun going back-to-back. His last call that he ever had of a home run was Jackson Chourio hitting a grand slam against the Cardinals. That's mind-boggling. I mean, you're talking about one of the youngest baseball players in the game right now, and Bob Uecker getting to call that. And just the amount of calls that he's had over the years that were just breathtaking. I mean, just breathtaking. Like, he made the game of baseball fun. He made it come to life. And that's the thing that you can't replace in the game these days. You can't. I mean, you turned on a baseball game, and I tell you what, you couldn't tell if the Brewers were down 20-0 or if they were winning 20-0. Like, you didn't know, because it was Bob. It was just always Bob giving you the best that he had every single day. And then you find out that back in 2023, he was diagnosed with cancer. And he came to games after getting therapy. He'd come to games and he'd still call them. And just the drive that he had, the passion. Nobody would have, I couldn't have told you that. I could not have told you that for 2 years this guy has been battling lung cancer. I could not have told you that. It's just unreal. what he was able to do. The mic came on, he sat behind that mic, and the lights came on, and he was just Bob. The rest of it was done. You wouldn't have known it. And they don't make them like that anymore. They don't. Like, Bob was a different kind of dude. And I know we're gonna get long-winded with that, but I mean, that was. And then you hear some of the Jeff Levering talk about him and Lane Grindle, and you listen back to Christian Yelich. And I remember last year when I heard, and we said it right here on the show, because I listened back to the show we did on, I believe it was October 4th of 2024. I listened back to that show, and it was after the Brewers lost that playoff game. And that was the day I had you listen to Jeff Levering on the final radio call that day. And I told you point blank that day, I said, I don't know if Bob Uecker is going to call another baseball game. It just felt that way. It just felt when Jeff Levering was signing off that there was something up, because you hear announcers get into the emotions. They get emotional. They ride it out with the team. They get emotional. But the way Jeff was that day, that was different. You felt something different. Like, you felt heartbroken because the Brewers just lost, but you knew that they're coming back the next year. Like, you didn't think anything about it. But when I listened back to Jeff, I listened back to it today. I listened back to it, that same video. And of a guy, I can't remember who posted it on Twitter when I saw it, but he recorded his radio technically, and it was of that Jeff Levering signing off. And when you heard Jeff talk, it was just like heartbreak. But now you look back at it and it's like, it's for a different reason. It was for a different reason there. So, yeah, we want to remember Bob today. We want to remember Bob. Anybody who is in the comment section tonight or is watching it in the show or wants to hit the text in line, I don't have it up there. I completely forgot about it there. We got text in line right below us there. If you want to text the number, give us your best Bob Uecker stories. If you met him, like, let us know, like, how you met him, what was going on, what was the circumstances when you saw him, everything like that. We'd love to hear your stories about him. We did miss our first mark. We're going to have, so we want to do something special tonight. We want to give facts and everything about Bob, some stories and that. We were going to do the 3-minute mark because Bob Uecker has 3 home runs against future Hall of Famers when he was playing the game. So, Aaron, we missed the 3-minute mark, but let's hit the first one here. What do you got for me for your first fact or story about Bob Uecker there?
Yeah, there's so many ways we could go with this, because like the special thing about him, I mean, obviously you think about the movie he played in, the TV. I kind of want to just get into the TV series just a little bit, only because this is such a it's just a funny comparison, right? He appeared in more episodes of Mr. Belvedere, 118 episodes of that show. So talk about a personality, right? Spins it off to a TV show, then the game, then games for the Braves in 3 seasons. So, he appears in 10 more episodes than he appears in 10 less games per se for the Braves. So just like a guy that, I mean, that's like transcendent, right? Like, you think of like, kind of, I don't want to make straight comparisons, right? But like John Madden, right? Like, just bigger than the game. Like, you know what I mean? There's guys that just, and like Johnny Carson, calling him Mr. Baseball. Like Johnny Carson, the guy, the nightly host nowadays don't even hold it. Like Johnny Carson ran late night. Like, he's the reason why those guys, like, he paved the way for everybody else, really. So Johnny Carson calling, Bill that Mr. Baseball, like that's, or I'm sorry, Bob, Mr. Baseball, that's huge. Like, that's a huge, like, Johnny Carson tips his cap, like, then you've made it. You know what I mean? Because Johnny and Bob, like, made him laugh. He got invited to his show more than 100 times. It's another little fact there, but he made him laugh like few people could, because Johnny Carson could make anybody laugh, but not just anybody could make Johnny Carson laugh. So
Bob can make anybody laugh. Your worst days, your best days, he can make you laugh. If you were having a bad day, you turn on the radio, you listen to Bob tell a story about his past. It made you laugh. You couldn't help but smile and be happy when you were listening to Bob Uecker on the radio there. So we do have another one. I'm sorry, we're going to double up here because we got a little long with their opening there. But 9, the jersey number 9 for Bob Uecker there. So, Aaron, what do you got for that 9-minute mark? What do you got for that fact or story about Bob there?
So this is another like weird one, but he got as many hits in the big leagues as Danny Ainge played. So he played as many 1,042 NBA games as Danny Ainge like hits. It's a weird comparison there, but it like lines up with the exact amount of. It's just weird, right? Like, it's one of those number facts. I'll get you some better ones, but that was just like weird, right? And he started like, kind of give you another one that's a little bit better. I don't love that one, but he started the game as he started playing baseball as a pitcher. Like that was where, but then obviously he transitions into a catcher, in which that's how he paved his way to the major leagues. But he often said like I wanted to be a pitcher. Like if it were up to him, if he could say God give me all the talent to be a pitcher, I think that's where he would have ended up. And like just interesting because you go from pitcher to catcher, it's like that cohesiveness, like if you're a catcher, maybe you want to be a pitcher. If you're a pitcher, you want to be a catcher. So
the easiest way to catch a knuckleball, just wait for it to stop rolling. That's what I would always tell you. The easiest way, just let it stop rolling there. So we want to, like I said before, we're not we didn't know Bob. You got all these other shows out there, people who knew Bob, and they were able to talk about stories that they had with him. We want to honor him in the best stinking way we know how. And we want to talk about Brewer baseball because that's what he wants us. He wants us to think about what this Brewers team is going to do this upcoming season to maybe, just maybe, bring a World Series back to the city of Milwaukee. Maybe, just maybe, right? That's what he wants us to focus on. So that's what we're going to do. I know he's sitting in the front row up there and he's like, let's go. Let's get this city a World Series there. I'm going to be honest with you. And I tweeted this out the other day. I said, I don't give an F what you have to do, Mark Ananasio. I don't care if you got to make trades. I don't care if you have to spend some money. I don't care what you got to do. You got to go field me a team to win a World Series. Go field me a team to give a fighting shot. Just go do it. I don't know what more you need. The city is going to back you like no other. The city is going to back you like no other at this point. The state is going to back you like no other. The state was lost. I'll be honest. They were lost with this news, like devastated. Like it was almost like the whole thing could have shut down and nobody knew what was happening there. So I'm looking at now, I'm like, Mark, go do something for me. Get this team a World Series of some sort. So I'm looking at this thing right now, and we had some questions. We posted out there. We had some questions about what we think this team is going to do or needs to do going into this upcoming season there. So I want to dive into this a little bit today here. So what's the middle infield? This was number one question I got there. What's the middle infield going to look like in our eyes? What do we think the middle infield is going to look like for the Brewers there? So do we believe, I guess this would be the first one because I guess it's a double up question because we had another question about that one. Do we believe the Brewers are going to go out and grab a third baseman? That would be my biggest question because that's going to answer all of our questions, right? We don't know right now because right now you look at the roster. It's like, okay, you have Monasterio. You cannot rely on Dunn, right? You can't rely on Oliver Dunn to be your third baseman again. Those two are probably Monasterio is a nice guy. He's a utility guy, though. He's not an everyday third baseman. Joey Ortiz could be an everyday third baseman. I did see that shortstop Cooper Pratt is going to be at spring training. He's young yet. I don't even know. I was just going to look that up quick. How old is Cooper Pratt there, Aaron? Do you know off the top of your head?
I do not. Let me see.
Let's see here. They drafted him
20.
Okay, he's 20. He's 20 there last season. Spent some time with Biloxi. He's up in the AA system already last season there. And you're looking at this year, he's invited to spring training, non-roster invite. I don't think he's going to get an opening day roster spot. But it is exciting to see him already up there. It is really exciting to see him up there. So Cooper Pratt's probably not starting out at the big league level. They do have a couple other prospects down there like Brock Wilkin, Bovee. I don't think either one of them is going to start at the big league level. They're all too young yet. They need some developing. So you're practically down to your middle infield. My assumption, where I would go, Bryce Terang, second base. Like, that's where I'm rolling right now, Bryce Terang, second base. I don't think, okay, you move him over to short, but then you open up a hole at second base. Because there ain't nobody better at second base defensively in the game, in my opinion, than Bryce Terang. That dude is all over the place at second base. He's a gold glover for a reason. Like, that is, Bryce Terang's the best second baseman defensively. So I'm not moving him off there. Because if you pitch it right, if you look at it right, you can get ground balls going over that way. Bryce Terang's going to fulfill that spot. So I look over at shortstop then, and that means Joey Ortiz slides over. So now he's your shortstop. They did. Who is that guy they just signed up there, Aaron? I forget. His name slips in my mind. They just traded for him. Got him from the Yankees in that deal with Nestor Cortez, I believe.
Let's see here.
Who is it? He's a utility. He's like I think he's a third base, second baseman.
Caleb Durbin. Caleb Durbin?
Durbin was his name. The one thing when I remember writing up on Durbin when we were talking about it when they got him, he's got not as strong of an arm. His arm is not as strong. So you put him over at third base. The only thing that worries me then is defensively, the arm coming across the diamond. That's the thing that worries me. The bat, people are going to hate him because they hate Sal sometimes for this. But Durbin's bat, he's not a hard contact guy. He puts the ball in play a boatload. He's exactly like Sal Frelick. Exactly like Sal Frelick. Frelick puts the ball in play. It's just if it's going to be a little like dribbler or if it's going to be a piss missile. And they do, both those guys are not piss missile hitters. Like they are little dribblers. That's where they roll it. So I don't know. You know, they talked about even a guy like Sal Frelick going over to third base. We talked about it last spring. He saw a time over there. I don't want to lose Sal in the outfield, though. So who do we got left for free agents for third baseman? Who do we got left out there? I know Alex Bregman's out there, but unless if Mark Ananasio's listening and he just listened to me yell about spending money, I got a good feeling we're probably not going to see a guy like Alex Bregman coming to town there. I don't know if I would want. I think Bregman. I like Bregman, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if he's past what Bregman was. Like, Bregman used to be that big power threat, that big bopper in that lineup, and I think he's kind of, I don't want to say went downhill, but I don't like Bregman as much as I did with him, but
it's what you're going to pay for him is
yeah.
Like, I still like what he can bring to the table, right? Like, he's still probably the best free agent as far as like just upside, like what he could potentially do for you.
Yeah.
It's just he's going to come at like by far the highest price tag, I think, just because of, I know, you know, if you're a good GM, you pay for, you know, forward, you know, progression. Like what's he going to do in the next, if they sign him to a 3 or 4 year, but he's going to command the money just because of what he's already done. That's the problem with him. Like he's in that middle ground. You don't know what you're, you know, when the Yankees got Josh Donaldson, it was like, what are you getting? And then they, you know, they saw he's a $180 Josh Donaldson, not the MVP Josh Donaldson. So not saying Bregman would be that, but I know you had mentioned Moncada before, Yohan Moncada. Outside of that, though,
I don't hate Moncada. I don't hate that deal.
There's a lot. I don't know though. That list is kind of stale. You know what I mean?
Like that is like bare bones list right there of third base options.
It's not pretty. It's not.
Because Patrick Wisdom, he's gone. We went through that. He went over to Japan, so he's already signed up over there. Nicky Lopez, I don't like that one. Moncada, what is his market value? I wonder if Sport Track will let me see his market value. Where they have him kind of listed at right now. His calculated market value right now is 1.5. 1.5 mil. That's cheap. That's cheap.
Very, very.
That's a cheap deal right there. And Moncada, I mean, you look at him last season. Last season, the numbers are kind of for him. He batted 275, but that was only in 40 at-bats, so he didn't really play last season there. Look at him over the years. The home runs are average. 2019, he had 25, but after that, he was kind of average across the board. The batting average was, he hovers. Last season, 275, like I said, but that was limited. 2023, he batted 260 in 92 games. 11 bombs. You're not getting a lot of bombs out of Moncada, but I like the switch hitter. I like his ability to switch hit.
29 years old. I mean, he's not ancient at 29 years old.
No, and it's a cheap contract. The upside, if he stays healthy, the upside's there with him. I don't hate that move. I don't hate the move for Moncada. But outside of that, I mean, what else do you have to pick through there? You have Nicky Lopez. You have Jace Peterson. You already experienced that. And do you want to get Brian Anderson back? We already had Brian Anderson. People were pissed off when we got him the first time. I mean, why would you want him back a second time there? And then, I mean, you could possibly, what's the shortstop? I mean, do we have some shortstops that could maybe...
Let's see.
You got Enrique Hernandez, Garrett Hampson's out there, Paul DeYoung, but he's older and he's old. I would take Jose Iglesias from the Mets. What was he? He was batting like 300 last season. There.
Can he play third though? I don't know if I've ever seen him. Like he's like one of those like locked in short.
He's actually listed as a short. He's listed as a third baseman.
That's great. I mean, maybe
he played third. He had to have because what's his name? Francisco Lindor was that shortstop. So Jose Iglesias, either he played second base or he played third.
Maybe. Yeah, I feel.
No, because McNeil played over there.
Yeah, he had to.
So it had to have been. He had to have been third base. I mean, his market value right now is at 1.7. I don't think he's going to be around that, but he's listed at 1.7.
not horrible.
I don't hate that. I mean, you could dip into the shortstop pool and try to move guys around. Brandon Crawford's retired, so he doesn't count anymore.
What
Unless
happened
Diaz
to
is out there.
man? What happened to Luis Urias? I know Ramon Urias on the Orioles, but Luis Urias, the brother of Ramon, he was on the Brewers back a couple years ago. But man, he fell. I mean, that guy, he can't scratch more than 4 home runs now. Like what?
He was never. He's what I'm praying that Joey Ortiz doesn't turn into. He was never. He never got over that hump. He never got over that hump with the Brewers. He had some success, and then it was just like he just never got over that hump. I don't know what it was, but he just never was there. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't hate him. I liked Urias, but he had a weird batting stance, and it never took off. Never took off for him there. Yeah, outside of that, I mean, the third base pool is pretty bare. So if you're looking for any help, I mean, you're basically going to look at a different position and try to fit him in somewhere. I mean, if you want to spend money, Hung Sung Kim, Brandon Drury's out there. He's a little bit older, but he's out there right now. I mean, you're kind of, if you're the Brewers, you're looking for a rental. I'll be honest with you. As much as I hate rentals, because I really do, I hate rentals with a passion. But we're talking about Cooper Pratt. We're talking about Cooper Pratt with that potential to be up at the bigs at some point here. Brock Wilkin, we're talking about him with potential to be up at some point. Mike Bovey. So you have guys coming through the system right now who are going to be able to fill into that spot. So I'm looking at guys, and I know age, we don't want to get too old or, too old up there. But if you could get a guy like, let's just say, I don't know, who were we just talking about there for?
Well, I'll say one name there. I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I wish they would have went and got Gio Urshela though. I mean, he's solid. I've always
Where
been
did
like
he end up?
Oakland on a 1-year deal for $6 million. I mean, the guy hit 250 last year in a league that
I know. I wanted him.
I would have. I mean, what's his career average here? We got 273 career average in 9 years.
That's not bad.
I would have taken.
That's not bad at all.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. I don't want to insult the injury, but he was he's one of those guys that completely gets lost in the shuffle of just no one knows about that guy. He just disappears. But
I think you have to do something. You have to if you're the Brewers. I don't think you can live with. I think you can put Joey Ortiz at shortstop. Don't get me wrong, and I think Bryce Durant can stay. Those two will be fine. But I don't think you can live if you have a third baseman of Andrew Monasterio, Oliver Dunn, random dudes just trying to fill spots over there at third base. I don't think Durbin's going to be that guy. He's a utility guy. He's a fill-in guy, not an everyday guy. You need to get an everyday guy who's going to give you a little bit of thump. I don't know if the Brewers are going to be able to rely on thump. I think it's going to be a lot of speed. We're going to use speed and contact to beat you. Thump is going to come at times, but it's going to be a lot of speed and contact to beat you out there.
I mean, this is being advantageous, obviously. You bring up Ha-Sung Kim. If you slide Joey Ortiz to third, which when he came up with the Orioles, he was playing third and short. I know he can play third. That's not – he's a defensive, pretty darn good defensive player at either position. So if you just move Ortiz to third to fill that third base, because, the free – I don't love that free agent pool. And even if you brought in Iglesias to play, I like Iglesias. I've just seen him at short a lot more. I don't know. Maybe I mean, if he can play third, whatever. But you bring in Iglesias, you bring in even Paul DeJong. I mean, he's older, but he's not. He's solid. You know what I mean? It's a consistent. You know what you're gonna get probably. It's not a guy that like Urias we brought up. I mean, the guy's now hitting 190. It's don't even bother, right? But I mean, there's some guys. I'd almost move Ortiz to third if you can bring in the right shortstop there. I don't know if you can. Obviously, Adames just getting out of there is what's causing this.
It's a big void, right? Because our next question that we got is going to be who's going to replace. Oh, and I got one. We got one texted now, Sal. We got one question. We got one about Sal moving into third base. I don't hate Sal at third base. I just hate Sal leaving the outfield. I hate the thought of wasting Sal's, because that dude is he could be a Gold Glove winner just about every year if you put him out there. He is a master out there in right field. And my worry is you move Sal to third base and you lose that right fielder. That's my big worry. I know you got Jackson Churio. I know you got Perkins. Hopefully Mitchell stays healthy, and you got Mitchell out there. You got Yelich, but how do you replace Sal in the outfield? Like that dude, I mean, he ran into a freaking grate in the wall and like broke his hip and then still played in the playoff series against the Mets. Like he is just a different kind of ball player. He's a hard-nosed dude. I can't remember what Pat Murphy said about him. He always would joke with him that he would be out of the league so fast that he'd ask him every day if he was studying still so he can get a different degree so he can move on. And Pat always toys with him like that and basically tells him like he stinks and everything like that. But he knows, like, he loves Sal. Sal's just great in the outfield. So I don't disagree. Like Sal could play third base. I just hate losing Sal in the outfield. Like that would be my one worry. But
what do you do then?
It does fix your problem. It does. I mean, you like Sal already. If he has the range, if he has the ability to play third base, you move Ortiz over to short. You keep Sal in the lineup. You keep him at third base. You put Mitchell out in center field. You put Jackson Chourio in left, and you put Garrett Mitchell in right field. You put Blake Perkins in center, and you throw Jackson Chourio in left, and then you have Christian Yelich be your DH. And then Hoskins at first, Turang, Ortiz, and Sal at third base, or of course, Contreras catching. And I mean, it fixes your problem in-house. Like, it fixes your problem 100%. My one thing, okay, is like, you have one group of Brewer fans and you have another group of Brewer fans. One group says you have to get a power hitting third baseman. The other one says, let's move Sal over there. So it's like, which one do you want? You want the power? Like, I don't think the Brewers are going to be built off of power this year. I really don't. I think the Brewers, where they're at right now, Hoskins is going to hit you like 25 to 30. I really think he's going to be 25 to 30. Yelich, if his back's healthy, 25. 25 in that 25 range. Contreras, around 25. Sal, I think Garrett Mitchell, if he stays healthy, he could be 20 to 25. I really do. Like, that dude's got some pop in that bat. He could be 20 to 25. But Turang, Ortiz, Sal, Blake Perkins, Jackson Chourio, that dude could probably hit 25. I'll go 25 with him too, 25 to 30. So you're going to have some hope. You don't have that, like, Prince Fielder. You don't have him. Like, you have Rhys Hoskins, but you don't have that guaranteed power threat like we had with Gary Sanchez last year, where like he's a power hitter. You don't have that power hitter, but you have dudes who can hit home runs. But I think where the Brewers offense is going to come from is that ability to fly around the bases and put the ball in play. Like we just mentioned there with Durbin and Sal Frelick. Yeah, I believe Durbin would have actually been near the bottom in the league in hard contact last year if he would have qualified. So like he doesn't put the ball in play hard, but he puts the ball in play. I think his swing rate, or when contact in the zone, when the ball was in the zone, how often he made contact was like, with a swing, was like 90%. So, I mean, the dude, when he swings the bat, when it's in the zone, he swings, he's putting that baby in play. Like, that's just how it is. But like, it's the question of, is he going to give you that hard contact? So, I mean, you're playing on a fence then of some Brewer fans worry, hey, we're not going to have a lot of power, but I don't think we're going to anyways. I don't think we are. I think if you sign up a guy like Yohan Moncada, or, we were talking about Jose Iglesias there. Like, Jose Iglesias isn't going to hit you bombs, but he's going to get on base. Like, he's going to get on base for you. Last year, he batted 300 with the Mets there. Like, he was an on-base machine. I think that's where the Brewers are going to thrive, is traffic on the base paths, putting pressure on pitchers. That's where they were last year. That's where they're going to be this year. Yes, I know Willy Adames had a boatload of RBIs. He was over 100. He had a bunch of home runs. He was your dude. Now it's going to be who steps up to be that dude, right? And I think Christian Yelich in a healthy season, he could be that guy. He could be that guy again for you. He can be that clutch hitter. Rhys Hoskins is going to get you some RBIs. William Contreras can be that guy. Who's going to replace Willie's bat? I think it's going to be by committee. I really do. I think it's going to be by committee that they replace Willie's bat. I don't know if you just replace 100 and some RBIs, unless if you go out and get Juan Soto. Like, unless you go out and get Juan Soto, it's hard to replace 100 some RBIs. But I think you can do it with what you got in-house. Because you think the young guys, younger guys, right? Sal, Turang, Ortiz, Mitchell, Chourio, Perkins, those guys are going to be able to rip some RBIs for you. Now, are they going to be like 100? No, but they're going to add up. They'll rack up there. And then Yelich, Contreras, Hoskins has got to have a bounce back year. If Hoskins has a bounce back year for the Brewers, I like where they're sitting. I really do. I like where they're sitting with that one there. So, Aaron, we'll hit it. Oh, we got 4 minutes. We got 4 minutes before we got to hit our next fact. There. So we're going to keep it. We're going to keep it here for a second there.
Can I ask you real quick, just because what were the Brewers? I didn't get to see it. I should say is what were they paying Adames? Like, 20? Wasn't it like around 20 mil, 18 mil, something like that?
I'd have to double check
You should
back.
have.
I don't remember. I don't remember what Willie's contract was.
I should have looked it up first because I have a point about Bregman then.
It wasn't. I don't know if it was 20. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it was 20.
Let me see.
When
Brewers.
Willie Adames' contract with the Brewers ended when he signed. Okay, that doesn't help me out.
7-year. Oh,
No,
yeah.
that's not it.
Yep.
Can we look back on this list here? I'm back.
Oh,
on...
yeah.
Oh, he's making 12. He had a 1-year contract with the Brewers because he was in arbitration, and he was making 12 and a quarter. He's making 12 and a quarter with the Brewers. Year before that, he was making 8.7. Year before that, 4.6. So he really wasn't making much. 2021, he was making $590,000 with the Tampa Bay Rays before he came to the Brewers.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say real quick, just because I'm thinking like if the Brewers are spending 18, because I've tapped into what Alex Bregman's trying to get between 25 and 30. I was thinking if Adames was like 18 to 20, you spend a little bit more, you get just because we talk about the Packers, receiver by committee, you didn't like that. If you're applying that same thing here, like RBIs by committee or run production by committee. It's hard to do that as a. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying if you brought in Bregman, it would make things a lot easier. But yeah, I guess they're probably going to be too far apart. I keep seeing there's a couple teams that are real close to talks with him, and I haven't seen the Brewers get brought up. I was just thinking that would fit. Like, okay, you lose Adames, you plug in. You know what I mean? Like production for production right there. If he pans out the way he has been playing there for.
The way that the Brewers operate is hope for production. That's the way that we operate, is hope for production. But they do, I know they have money to spend now because they got that FanDuel contract. They're going to get the luxury tax money there. They're going to have money to spend. It's just a question of will they spend that money? Because now they have a little bit. And I don't think they're going to spend a metric boatload on anybody there. But I think that they will spend some money like on a Yoan Moncada. Like an average third baseman who can just come in and fill a spot. And you hope for the best, right? Moncada's got the ability to hit a boatload of home runs. I mentioned it there in a couple of years ago. I think it was 2019. He had 25. So, I mean, he's got the ability to hit you a bunch of home runs there. Let's see. I had it up there a second ago. 2019, 25 home runs. So we know the guy can hit bombs. Like he can get hot, he can get going. It's just a matter of what he does. And hitting in a friendly ballpark like Miller Park, or not, I almost said Miller Park there, right? American Family Field, like the Brewers have. It's a friendly ballpark, right? And going to some friendly places around the NL Central and such. He could be a guy where you could see him go for that, 20 mark there. So maybe a guy like Yoan Moncada. I don't hate that move. I don't hate the sell. I'm just saying, like, bringing in a bat, bringing in a guy, a switch hitter like Yoan Moncada. I don't hate that move at all. So we'll see how that one kind of works out there. We got, there we go. We got one across text in line telling us how much Willie made. Thank you. Thank you out there for telling us. Sometimes we're delayed on here, so people like hear us talk, and then they, sometimes it's delayed going across there. But thank you for sending us that contract there. But yeah, 12.25 there was the contract for Willie. We want to get to another fact here because Bob Uecker was born January 26th of 1934, and if you actually look at his baseball cards, they got it wrong on the back there. It said he was born in 1935. I just saw that before. I was looking that up, and apparently they got it wrong on the back of his baseball cards all the way up until 2014 when they finally corrected it there. So that was kind of funny there. But so Bob Uecker, we got a little time here for another one here, Aaron. So what do you got for me?
So you mentioned it already. Like for the state of Wisconsin, he's so big. So he graduated from Milwaukee Tech High School and was an exceptional high school athlete there. And he grew up watching the Brewers play at Old Borchert Field. I want to say that's the right way to say it. I don't know. But, growing up, like he's one of you guys, you know what I mean? Like that kind of rings true, and hits you in the heartstrings a little bit more. It's not like this guy was like a transplant from LA or something, like nothing against that, but like, he's like, he's homegrown, right? He's homegrown, growing up watching the Brewers. Obviously didn't play for him, but like you can't control that. But then to return back to the Brewers as a broadcaster, like that's just That's cool. I mean, you hear stories about like Derek Jeter, right? I always want to be the Yankee shortstop, turns into the Yankee shortstop. Like that's just when that happens and it's one of your own, that's just awesome. Like he's one of your own. That's all you can really say.
He is. Yeah. Every time I hear one of these, it's like this guy. I believe he. I saw one earlier today. When he was in the military, they asked him. It was any of them ball players, right? And they asked him if he was a ball player, and he said, "Yeah." And he told them that he played for Marquette University. Marquette University doesn't have a baseball team, but that's what he told the guys, that he went to Marquette because he didn't play college ball. So he's like, I went to Marquette University there. So I just played college ball at Marquette. So that was pretty awesome there. When he said that. But yeah, Bob Uecker, just a stand-up guy all the time. He was awesome. So let's get back to the Brewers. Let's get back to the Brewers here for a minute. My guess is we got another one about closers for the Brewers. Who's going to close down games? Because we know Devin Williams is with the Yankees now. So who's going to close down games? And the question was, will it be McGill or who's it going to be, right? And I think it's going to be I think it's going to be McGill. I wouldn't be surprised though if they tried like a closer by committee kind of thing where McGill was your main guy, but you did see a guy like maybe like Abner Uribe come in there and close down some games, or if you wanted a lefty, Brian Hudson come in there and try to close down some games for you, like feeling the game, right? Pat Murphy's he's not an analytical guy. He's I'm feeling the game kind of guy. He's an old baseball player. He's an old guy, right? He feels the game differently. He feels it. He goes for the feel of the game. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a guy like Pat go with more of a closer by committee until he figures it out. I think Trevor McGill is going to be the guy, but I could see him being a closer by committee kind of guy. What do you think, Aaron? I mean, do they go with Trevor McGill, or do you think it's more of a closer by committee? How do you think they roll it?
I feel like it's McGill. Like you said, they might sprinkle in Uribe. I mean, I've seen other teams like, let's say 5 nights out of 7, they'll use McGill, and then maybe Uribe 2 nights of the week. I mean, I'm looking here. Brewers finished the season just behind the Guardians as the second best bullpen in baseball. So, I mean, and the fact that Devin Williams was out, bits and pieces of that season last year, he's great when he's on, but like not that insult to injury, but that playoff, like giving up that home run is like, I mean, good riddance.
He was
good
never there in the playoffs, and when he was there in the playoffs, he blew games. So it's like,
I'm not saying you don't miss him, but like, when the lights were on for him to kind of get rocked like that, you see what you can do. You see what you can do without him, and I think they'll hold their own. I'm it's hard to replace one single guy like that sometimes, but who knows? I mean, McGill might have a standout season, and like I expect the Brewers to, basically tread waters very well even without him. Like I just the way they're run, they're like the Rays to me. They're the NL Rays. Like they always have a bullpen. It's just guaranteed. So.
They find pitchers, and I know Jacob Mizorowski and Craig Yoho. Those are 2 other guys who got invites to spring training there. Jacob Mizorowski is the flamethrower. He's got invited there, so he could be I could see him being a bullpen first guy. Like the way Corbin Burns came into the Brewers rotation went to the bullpen first, worked his way in. Jacob Mizorowski is starting pitcher, but I could see him coming to the bullpen first and then working his way into the starting rotation maybe next year. Like I could see that being his route there. So kind of like a 2018 Corbin Burns kind of route. I wouldn't hate that. So we see him. Craig Yoho's out there too, so you got some experience there. We do have one across the text in line. I think Uribe needs more experience. Wouldn't put him in a close game. I would agree. Uribe's got the stuff. It's just a matter of if he can keep his fists to himself and, not try to pick fights with everybody. That would be a big start. That'd be a starter there. Yeah. He closes games down, but he closes them down in the wrong way. That's for sure. So, I mean, Uribe definitely needs some time out there, but I don't hate the thought of Uribe potentially getting shots at closing down games. But yeah, it's going to be getting him into games again, right? I don't know if he ever did serve his suspension. I know he was suspended. He got hurt. I don't know if he ever served his suspension because then he was down in the minors and I'm pretty sure got hurt down there. So I don't know if when he comes back, he has to serve his suspension because you have to serve it at the big league level. So you have to be up there to serve it. I don't know if he ever served his suspension because I don't think they ever brought him back. So it's going to be kind of a wait and see with Uribe because I think he's going to be suspended first before he can actually get out there in game action. So, the bullpen, I think the bullpen will be good. I do. Brian Hudson coming back. You're going to have Trevor McGill, Jared Koenig out there. He was fantastic. I mean, you talk about before, like the Brewers figuring out guys, like making them work. And that's what we saw with Brian Hudson and Jared Koenig. Those two, who knew who they were before they came to the Brewers? And when they came to the Brewers, they were two of the best bullpen pitchers in the game. So it's like, what did they do to fix those guys? I don't know, but it was impressive. So you got those two guys. You're going to have Trevor McGill. You're going to have Uribe, Payamps, Paguero. You're going to have all those guys back. And then I know we have one guy who texts in a lot on the show here. He hates DL Hall. We had him talking about him the last time we were on here, but you got DL Hall. You're going to have Aaron Ashby. I mean, it depends how the starting rotation fills out, right? Because you're going to have a lot of guys in that starting rotation. You got Nestor Cortez now. You have Freddie Peralta. If Brandon Woodruff, when he's ready to go, you're going to have him. You're going to have Tobias Myers. You're going to have, you're going to have a plethora of pitchers. You're going to have a lot of pitchers to be able to work through there. His name slips my head. Robert Gasser, when he comes back from injury, it won't be for the first 2 months of the year. I think he's going to be out yet, but when he comes back, you're going to have his potential. I know Wade Miley said he wants to come back to the Brewers. I don't know if the Brewers are going to bring him back, but I know he wants to come back. So you have Wade Miley's name floating around there. You have a lot of pitchers. You have a lot of pitchers to be able to work through there and see who you want to put in your rotation, see how you want to make it work. You're going to have those guys, the guys who don't make the rotation, like an Aaron Savali or other guys, they're going to fill into the bullpen. So who fills into that bullpen role is going to be a good question there. I'm excited. I'm excited to see this pitching staff. I'm excited to see the young guys because Paul Skeens had a fantastic year last year. I don't want to take away from what Paul Skeens did by any means, but Tobias Myers, if you actually look at his stats, he wasn't the flamethrower. He wasn't this hot commodity like Paul Skeens was. But if you look at his stats from August on, Tobias Myers was just as good, if not better, than Paul Skeens down that stretch. So, I am excited to see Tobias Myers in a full season where he's feeling good. Talk about perseverance of a pitcher. Tobias Myers goes from, he was in the bullpen, or no, he's in starting rotation, went to the bullpen, got canned, went down, came back up to the Brewers, went back to the starting rotation, and just figured it out. It was just, they were moving him around, trying to find spots he would work, and then they brought him back up, and he just filled in and was dynamic. So, it was just awesome there. Aaron, can you look up, we got a question there about Brandon Woodruff. Is he medically cleared? I don't know if he's completely medically cleared yet. I thought that when I last heard Matt Arnold talk about it, they said he was on pace. They said he was on a good pace. I don't know if he's going to be medically cleared for the start of the season, but I know he's going to be back next year. I don't know when. I don't know when he's going to be able to get back to it. I thought he was throwing flat ground, though.
He is not currently not medically cleared is what I'm seeing.
Is he throwing yet? Does it say that he's throwing yet or no?
Let me see. It's from January 7th. Let me see.
So we're close. That's fairly recent there with Brandon.
Right. He said, I'm gonna be pretty candid with you. I know we talked a little bit during the season, but I'm in a different place. Oh, this is talking about how he feels with Milwaukee there. I honestly can't answer that question in relation to pitching right now. I'm preparing to go pitch so I guess he's wait, let me see. I'm preparing to go pitch, whether that's in New York, the site of Milwaukee's opening. Okay, so he doesn't know yet. So I guess he's throwing a little bit, but let me see. His shoulder. Oh, wait, here we go. His shoulder declined to cooperate. I just wasn't ready. I couldn't do it. Now I look back on that. Gosh, that wasn't 3 months ago. Now look where I am, and I've made so much progress. So he's trending in the right direction. Long story short, It's a little kind of weird there, but he doesn't know if he'll be ready by opening. It sounds like definitely not spring training, but maybe opening day is the advantageous. Maybe miss a month of the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just kind of a guess as how he's talking about it. But
I wouldn't rush it
for opening weekend.
Yeah, I wouldn't rush him. I would get him back when he gets back. You don't need him for opening day. You don't need him for the first month. Let him get back if you can have it to a point where you're in a good spot, say winning the division by 10 games, and you're the freaking Calvary's not here yet. And then here comes riding in Robert Gasser and Brandon Woodruff to add to a rotation that's already pitching well. That's as good as making a sometimes look at the Lions right now, right? I know I'm crossing over, but look at the Lions. Sometimes what's even better than a trade at the trade deadline or something is getting the boys back, right? Getting the dudes back in the clubhouse. And that would be Brandon Woodruff. That'd be getting Robert Gasser back, whoever it is, getting them back, getting them healthy, keeping them there, right? And that's where I think if you can get him back within the first couple months and get him settled in, you're going to be flying. You'll be flying then. You have a starting rotation to persevere up until then, which, I mean, brought in Nestor Cortez to kind of fortify that. You get Brandon Woodruff back then after that. I mean, wow. Like that's as good as any trade you're going to make at the trade deadline is getting a guy like if Brandon Woodruff's on and you get him back at the trade deadline, you basically won the trade deadline. Like that is 100% the truth. So, I mean, I'm not, he'll be back. He'll be back probably in the first couple months is my guess. If he's already saying like, hey, I'm maybe probably not ready for opening day, but thinking around that time, he's back within the first couple months at least. And then Robert Gasser comes back a couple months in. I like where the Brewers are at starting rotation wise. So it should be pretty nice to see those two back. This is a question that I had that I got, and I don't know. So the Brewers have Jefferson Quero, one of the top prospects in all of baseball, one of the top prospect in the Brewers farm system. They're the catcher. Jefferson Quero coming up through. You have William Contreras up at the big league level. What do you do? What do you do? Like, and this is my question. Like, do you try to look at the upside of Jefferson Quero and try to fit him in, or do you extend William Contreras for a long-term deal? Because if you extend William Contreras for a long-term deal, you're basically saying, all right, Jefferson Quero, we're going to trade you. Like, he's done. He's gone. Like, you can't keep – he's your number one prospect. Like, you're not keeping him around if you're going to keep William Contreras around. So it's a question of then, who do you move on from? Do you go with the youth? Do you go with the young guy and go with a small contract where you can control the contract, right? Like a Jackson Chourio contract where it's $80 million, right? That contract could be the biggest steal ever if he continues to produce like he is. Do you test it out with Jefferson Quero? I mean, they've seen a lot. They know a lot. He was injured last season there, but he's coming back. Probably going to see some time at the big league level. If you like what you see when you get up there and he's throwing guys out like we saw last year in spring training, if he's chucking guys out, if he's playing good defensively, and you're like, this guy can hit well for me, do you move on and save yourself a buck off of William Contreras? Do you try to trade him? Like, I don't know. Like, it seems so crazy, right, to even think about that. Like, do you even think about that? But at the same time, if you got a plethora of catchers, you got to move on from somebody, right? And if it's the young guy or if it's William Contreras, who do you move on from?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I'll look at it from, and I, on no means do I want to be insulting towards the Brewer. Like, they're a small market, right? They're gonna try and maximize. Like, they're gonna try and use William Contreras because we already talked about how they were like $900,000 short or like 1.1 million short on what. Like, he wanted this like 6.5 and they wanted to do like 5.6, right? It was something like that.
Yeah, they want to do 5.6 and I think he wants 6.4 or something stupid. That's
it's within $1 million, like, and they're like not budging. So that tells me that they're gonna ruffle his feathers per se. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna say, you know what, we got this kid coming behind you because, you know, I think the Orioles are doing the same thing with Adley Rutschman right now. They have a kid coming right through the minor leagues. He's like third in their prospect pool, but he's like lighting up AAA, AA, all that, right? And I think they're playing that same game where it's like, we're not going to extend you. We're not going to give you like $3-4 million deal. We're going to see like, hey, can we navigate our way through till maybe the trade deadline? Honestly, like if Contreras gets dealt at the deadline, I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't love that. If I'm taking ownership of the Brewers, I'm locking Contreras up because he's a known commodity. He's an all-star. He's one of the best catchers baseball, you know. Like, that's something you don't mess around with because prospects are cool, but what if he doesn't produce, right? Like, There's no guarantee. You have pretty much a proven commodity in Contreras at the major league level. I just think the Brewers are small market and they operate as so. So they're going to, you know, try and trade him when his trade value is high. I mean, if they traded him this offseason, you know, that would have been like coming off the year. I'm not saying he can't have that year again. It's just he had a great year. So it's like, I think the way they're going to go is get rid of Contreras, go with the younger guy. But if I'm the Brewers, I sign the younger guy. I maybe trade the prospect because we don't know what he's going to be. And then go get yourself, you know, maybe a third baseman, a short, whatever the team needs at the time. But you have what I'm trying to get, you have a proven guy, can produce at the major league level, all-star level. I'm not saying the guy coming through the minors isn't going to be good, but it's big shoes.
Do you want to risk it?
It's a risk. It's definitely a risk.
Yep. Do you want to risk it? That's the question. And how do you like figure it out though? Like you can't. If you right now, how do you give Jefferson Cuero time at the big league level to be able to figure out maybe he's better, right? Maybe if you brought Jefferson Cuero up somehow, some way, I wanted to look at can you bring up Jefferson Cuero's batting stats? I want to see what he hit down in the minors. Because how do you figure out how good Jefferson Cuero is with him being blocked by William Contreras from getting playing time? Like, I mean, honestly, like you can't see him at the big league level. You can only see him at the minors. And I remember I was talking with Gary Varsho, Dalton Varshow's dad. I was talking with him on an interview here on the show. And he told me, like, if you're a good pitcher, you're already out of the minors. So you don't know how good hitters are until you see them in the bigs. Because you can get away with a lot of crap when you're in the minor league system versus when you get to the big league level. And I took that true when I saw like Joey Weimer. He was fantastic in the minors, got up to bigs, couldn't hit. Keston Hiura, down in the minors. He was like the Barry Bonds in the minors. But he got up to the bigs, he couldn't hit. And it's like, okay, where does the difference there? So it's like, how do you know what Jefferson Cuero is? Besides when you watch him, you're like, yeah, he's got a good, I mean, his swing looks smooth and he can throw guys out and he's got this and he's got that and he looks good. But when he gets to the bigs, is he that guy? And it's like, how do you know that if you have this roadblock in front of him? So, I mean, what was he batting down there in the minors?
So 2022, he A and high A, I guess this is what this means. But, at A, he's hitting 278 with 6 home runs, 43 RBIs in 75 games. Then in high A, he's hitting 20 games, small sample size, but 313 with 4 home runs and 14 RBIs. So, I mean, the power was like almost identical in like 50 less games at a higher level. So, I mean, trending the right way. I never love like coming off an injury for pretty much a whole season there. Like I think he's probably gonna need more time, but like he played in 1 game at AAA.
Yeah.
Didn't record I mean, he didn't even get an at bat, so I don't know if he was a pinch runner or what.
No, he was. God, did he come in? I think he walked or something. I think he walked.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
running the base.
He has 1,000 on base. Yeah.
So he hurt himself running the bases down there, so you never got to see him. It just, and I got one across Texas line. You can't necessarily compare those stats, minors versus majors. We agree, like you can't. How do you know what you have? And Jefferson Cuero could be the next dog of catchers in the big leagues, but you'll never know. How will you know? Like you won't know until you see him get consistent time at the big league level. And how do you do that unless if you say like, hey, Contreras, you want to play first base for us? Like
I was going to say,
move you over to first base. But then Contreras is such a good catcher now. It's like, why do you want to waste his talents over there at first base now? Because he's such a good, it's tough. That is tough. Unless if you like move Contreras to, okay,
DH
hypothetical world. You bring Cuero up. You have Cuero be the backup to Contreras. Contreras DHs, Cuero catches. We see what he's got. You see what he's got over an extended period. Maybe you go 50-50 with Yelich and Contreras, right? Or you have Hoskins who works in there too. But you have those 3. Those are your majority DH guys. Those are your DH guys. And then you have Cuero fill in there, and he's your catcher on those off days. Like, that's the only way you're going to be able to find out. Because right now, like you were saying there, that stupid arbitration case with Contreras, his projected salary is 7.6. He wants 6.5. The Brewers filed at 5.6. Why can't you just meet him 0.9? Why can't you just meet him at 6.5 and just call it a day? Just move on. Like, I don't get it sometimes.
He deserves, he's a guy, he's not a guy that's like,
it pisses me off. And maybe they piss him off anyways and he wants to leave. Like, that could be the Corbin Burns kind of thing. We had one texter say, do we believe it's going to be like a Burns kind of thing? Like, yep, there it is. But he's arbitration this year. 2026, 2027, he's arbitration, and then he's a free agent in 2028. I'm going to be honest with you, if you're not going to extend him in the next, you want to get a haul for a guy, you give him with a bigger deal, right? You got to have a lot of years left on the contract. Next year, following year, you got him. This year, I'm bringing Jefferson Cuero up, and like we were just talking, giving him some time there in that backup catcher's role, but he's getting time when Contreras is DH, in which I don't know if they'd be like, we say like 25% of the time, give Contreras time off, keep his bat in the lineup, 25% of the time, see what you got. See what you have in Jefferson Cuero, and then you can answer all your questions, most of them, hopefully, with that. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at there. We got another one across here. Do the Brewers have a backup catcher since Sanchez left? Yes, Eric Hayes is still on the Brewers, so they still have Hayes. I don't hate Hayes. I think the Brewers have a problem right now with too many good catchers. I think they do. I think they have a problem with too many good catchers. I thought Eric Hayes had some big moments last year. He's not an everyday guy, but he's good bat. Like, he's a solid bat off the bench. He's solid there. Contreras, good bat. I don't know if Contreras would be okay with playing first base. Like, if he wants to play if you could get Contreras to transfer over to first base and you could pay him to be a first baseman and have the bat that he does, I'd dig it. I'd dig that. Like, that'd be awesome. But
Reese,
I don't know.
DH, yeah.
Yeah, and you only have Reese for a year. So when Reese is gone, then Contreras just takes over at first base, and you already got your first baseman in the future. Like, I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate that whatsoever. But, I mean, I don't think that's how it's going to work out. But you can't just move. I've learned you can't just move everybody to first base. They tried that with Ryan Braun. Did not work out so well. So we got that there. We missed one, Aaron. Son of a gun. We missed one there talking. We were going to hit one at 50 for the Ring of Honor for Bob Uecker there. We were going to hit one at 50. Let's go with the 50 fact or story here, Aaron. What do you got for me?
So he showed up in this same wrestling extravaganzas as Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Gorilla Monsoon, and Jesse Ventura. So talking about some legendary wrestlers, right? Just like stuff you wouldn't think, but like, who is Bob Uecker to be at that? But sure, why not? He's there. And it's just like, that's just hilarious. Like, that's, gotta love it.
Yeah. He's awesome. That dude was awesome. Like, he just fit in with the most random crowds. And, I heard, was it Bill Michaels who was talking about it? He said that they went to a golf course in Cleveland and they were walking up and there was a group standing outside, like suits and ties and everything, but they're waiting to see Bob. And Bob said the most, like, I don't know if what he said, it was most like it wasn't racist, but it was like a comment that only if he would have said, if somebody else would have said it, it would not have gone across well. But he said it, and this group of guys just started busting out laughing, and they were just laughing. And I mean, they just came up afterwards, shook his hand, got into pictures with him and everything like that. But they just said, I mean, anybody else would have said it, wouldn't have thought it was funny. But since Bob said it was funny, he just had that way to make anybody laugh with the craziest of things too. And he's quick-witted, always to come up with the craziest things too. So he was awesome there. We did have one across text line. Don't put Contreras at first base. It's a waste of talent. We know it's a waste of talent. That's what we said. It's not a waste. We know it's a waste of talent, but we're like, what do you do with Jefferson Cuero? He's your number one prospect. Do you just let him down there to die? Like, you stay down there, brother. Like,
there's no way. Like, they move I feel like one of those guys gets moved. It
has to. Otherwise, you make a move. You trade him. You trade away with somebody. You have to. I just don't. I don't see how you leave Jefferson Cuero down there and you don't know what he is. Like I said, he could be the best player that you've had a catcher ever. Like, you don't know. You have no idea. And like you said, you don't know. So you want to go with the proven guy or you want to go with what could be? I don't know, right? What if they never gave Jackson Churio that shot? They were like, oh, yeah, we got a boatload of outfielders up here right now. Let's not bring Jackson Churio up, right? Because we got Sal, we got Mitchell, we got Perkins, we got Yelich. Let's just leave Jackson Churio down in the minors. What if they said that last year? We wouldn't know, right? But he put it on tape. He put the talent out there. Now look at him. He's a phenom. Like, he could be the best player in baseball. We don't know yet. Last season, at times, he was. He was the best player in baseball. So, I mean, I don't know. It's tough. Like, that's the tough decisions that guys got to make there. And like you said, small market team. If Jefferson Cuero can come up to the bigs and hit you 270, can you imagine the haul you could get for William Contreras? Honestly, can you imagine the haul you could get? You could get your third baseman of the future. You could get pitching prospects galore. And I know we don't want to think about that. I know we don't want to think about that at all because I don't want to get rid of Contreras. I love Contreras. I do. But when you're a small market team, you got to think small market. And when you're small market, you got to make moves like this. Your guys this is the crappy part about being a Brewer baseball fan. You get young guys, they get good, you got to move on from them. They didn't want to get rid of Willie Adames. They didn't, but they couldn't afford his contract. Not with doing everything else, they couldn't afford him. So they had to move on. And now you're at this hole at shortstop. So it's like, you're a small market, you got to find ways. And this is the way. This is a way that you're like, well, this is what we got to do. We got to do this to make it happen. So and we got one text here that Jefferson Cuero needs time at AAA. Yes, I agree. Like, I'm not saying that we bring this guy up day one. Like, we're not bringing him up day one. But what we're saying is at some point here, you got to bring him up and you got to see what he's about. You do. Because you're going to have the question of, like we just mentioned there with William Contreras' contract, that's only going to get bigger. Like, this year it's 6.5 is what William wants, right? He's projected at what? What'd I say? 7.6? Next year, it's going to be a boatload bigger. We were talking about William Adames' contract before, year to year. Look, 2022 to 2023, he raised it $4 million, and then from 2023 to 2024, he went up another $4 million. So you imagine William Contreras' contract is just going to keep going up in the next 2 years before he becomes a free agent. When do you think about making that move? When do you think about seeing what Jefferson Cuero is about? I think you have to sooner rather than later to know what you're going to do when that time comes. Do you make the extension? Because if you extend Contreras past what, the 2026 season, 2026, 2027, past 2027, he's going to be a free agent in 2028 when he's 30. If you extend him past that, then it's like, what's the point of Jefferson Cuero? He's just sitting there. He's just a road. He's just basically there. He's just, I mean, a decoy. Like, what are you ever going to use him? So it's like, well, you got to make that move at some point. So I guess that's kind of where we're at right now with that situation. See what you can see what the Brewers muster up. I don't know, right? Small market, you got to make moves. So we'll see what they do. We got one from Brantley Gilbert down there. How do you think Churro will do hitting stats this season? Aaron, we will do this again because we're going to do the over-under batting stats for this year. What did Jack? Let's look up his stats from last year. I want to get his guaranteed stats from last year there. What did he end up hitting last season?
275, 21 bombs, 79 RPIs, 22 stolen bags. Excuse me.
Give me plus 30 stolen bases. Give me 25 home runs. Well, okay, here, Aaron, I'll do it for you. We'll do if he's going to increase. Let's do it that way. Will he be plus minus? What did you tell me? The plus minus the batting average. What was it? 275, you said?
275 last year. Yep.
What are we going? Plus minus the batting average of 275. Where do you think he's going to be at?
I like to, I saw Bobby Witt increase. I saw Gunnar Henderson increase. Like, all these, we're talking, younger star players in the league, right? You put Jackson Chourio in that category now, obviously. I think both guys I know both guys' power numbers have gotten better. I always do worry that whole, there's more tape out on him, but I think maybe you see that in year 3, right? Maybe the third year you're starting to see okay, that now they really know his weakness. So I think it gets better. I think he ends up 280 to 285. Give me between those thresholds there.
We're taking the over there. You got her every time. And I looked up his stats and I said it last year. I said, you look at Jackson Chourio and look at every stop he's made. Single A, started out slow, got hot. Double A, started out slow, got hot. Triple A, started out slow, got hot. Big leagues, definitely started out slow, got hot. Got majorly hot. That average went fast, right? I'm right there with you. I think he's going to be plus. I think he's going to be over that 275 mark that he hit this last season there for the Brewers. So I like the over with Jackson Chourio there. Let's go RBIs. Plus or minus 79. So you had 79 RBIs, plus or minus. I like the over. Give me 85 to 90 or 85 to 90 RBIs for Jackson Chourio. I like that.
I'm a little worried without Adames in that lineup, just kind of changing things up a little, because he's like that guy you can't really if you pitch around him, then Chourio, it plays into other guys. But I am a little bit bullish on Chourio, so I'll go over 2. I think that might play into it. If he goes under, I think that's not the biggest, that's one of the bigger reasons. I just feel like that's one of those things in baseball. You take Juan Soto out of the Yankees lineup. I know it's completely different, but maybe you see guys have different numbers, right? It's just one of those cause and effect things. But I still, because of the talent, the raw talent he has right now, we'll go over.
Okay. Where do we think he bats in the lineup? Because we had one across the text line that said depends where they place him in the lineup. I'm going with the 2 spot. I think that's Pat Murphy loves Bryce Terang leading off. I think he goes with Jackson Chourio in the 2 spot. I think Contreras is your 3, and I think Hoskins is your 4. It's so weird because Yelich is in there too. Maybe they lead off with Jackson Chourio. Maybe Chourio leads off and they move Yelich into the 2 and Terang slots in at the 5. It's hard to think of Yelich down there unless if they put Yelich in 3, Contreras in 4. I like that better. Okay, I'm going to take that back. Terang in my 1 spot, Jackson Chourio in my 2. Give me Yelich 3, Contreras 4. Give me Hoskins 5. He's still in the power spot. He's still in a power spot. Contreras is kind of a power hitter too. I like the 4 and 5 with Contreras and Hoskins there. Plus, knowing the Brewers, they don't really understand what a cleanup hitter is because Craig Counsell used to have like freaking Sal Frelick used to bat cleanup at times. Like it's like, what is this dude doing?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. I'm looking back. I mean, this is a random day last year, right? But July 21st, 2024 against the Twins there, they had Terang lead off, Contreras number 2, Adames 3, Frelick 4, Hoskins 5, Joey Ortiz 6, Garrett Mitchell 7, Churio 8, and Hase 9 there. So
Okay.
I like your last one. I because what Terang can steal you some bags, right?
Yeah.
As far as
Yep.
I'm, you know what I mean? So, get your, I know he doesn't hit for the best average in the world, this and that, but he can get on base, right? He can get on base. He can get you to, he can still, he's a stolen base threat, right? And then
Yep.
Churio hitting right behind him, speed, has some pop. He's just a good, like solid hitter. And yeah, I think you could even bat Reese cleanup. Maybe a Yelich 3 Reese cleanup, but that's like tomato. Like
Yeah.
I'd mess around with that a little bit throughout the year. Especially when Reese is like full tilt Reese, it's like, dang, like, you know what I mean? So like if you can have him up on cleanup while he's like on a hot streak, I would do that 9 times out of 10. Cause if you can just get those guys up before him on base, he's going to knock them in. Like
Yep.
when he's in a dry spell, maybe bump him down to 6 and 7. Cause he's going to do that. He's a streaky hitter, but yeah, I like your last assessment the best, I think.
Well, I got one now. So they're wondering what the lineup's going to look like now. He has to Mitchell at 6. So I would go Terang at 1, Churio at 2, Yelich 3, Contreras 4, Hoskins 5. I would take Mitchell at 6. I would. I think Mitchell, like I said before, he's got a lot of power threat. He's got the ability to put the ball in play, and he's got some speed. So I like him at the 6th spot there. Then I would say, give me Joey Ortiz in the 7. Give me in my 8th spot, we would have, it's going to be depending on who's playing where, but I think you're going to have Blake Perkins in center. So I'm going to give me Sal Frelick in my 8th spot, and then give me Blake Perkins in my 9. And then Yelich will be my DH, and that's how I'll roll it there. So, I mean, I think that's a fairly darn good lineup. I would take that to war against just about anybody with what they got. Speed, they got power, they got contact. There's some stars mixed in there. If Yelich gives you a productive year like he was last year, I mean, he's batting 300 before he got hurt. I mean, if you get a productive year out of Yelich in a 3 spot, you get another year like they did with Churio, and Contreras continues to hit like he is, and Hoskins has a bounce back year. Watch out for that lineup. Like that is a dangerous. If Hoskins hits, right? If Hoskins can hit, that's a dangerous middle of the lineup with Contreras and Yelich and Hoskins. And then to add in Bryce Terang and Jackson Churio in there too, with the way that we know that Churio can hit. I mean, that's dangerous lineup right there. And you might not have the star power of the Phillies and the Dodgers, right? But you have some good hitters mixed in there. So that'd be a deadly lineup. So, I mean, I like where the Brewers are at lineup wise. I think you can add bats. I really do. But this was the last question. We got Perkins will play 1 out of 4 days. Give that guy up. He's a fill-in. I get it. All right. I get it. But guess what? He's the best center fielder in all baseball when he plays. So enough said. Like the dude defensively, he's a dog. If he hits me 200 and plays the defense that he does, we'll make it up somewhere else. Like, I don't know. You cannot watch the tape of Blake Perkins playing center field and deny he is the best defensive center fielder in baseball. Like, you can't. Like, watching him play the field, glide back to baseballs back there, he makes everything look easy in that outfield. I trust him more than anybody else in that outfield. So, 1 out of 4 days. I'm not saying that you're wrong that, yes, there's better hitters. Like, don't get me wrong, there's better hitters. But defensively, you can't beat him. That'd be like saying if we had Terang batting 200, that we're not going to play Terang out there. Like, Terang's going to play second base. He's a dog. So I'm putting Blake Perkins out in center just because I don't need him. I don't need him to be my MVP. I don't need him to be my best hitter on my team. I need him to be a defensive presence. I need him to be the best defender that I know that he can be. So I'm like, I get what people say when they hate Perkins just because of his bat. Get it. But to say I wouldn't say he's a fill-in. I wouldn't. I would say the dude's a dynamic outfielder. Like, I don't know, Aaron, you watched. I've made you watch clips of him, and I made you look up stats of him. Like, that dude's the best center fielder in baseball when he plays. Defensively, he's the best center fielder in baseball.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely up. I can't speak. I don't want to be like inaccurate and say he's not, but he's in the conversation. Like I can from my vantage.
He just didn't have didn't have the games last year, I think, to make it in the Gold Glove conversation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's a finalist. So that being said, like he's no slouch, right? Like I'm not gonna say it. Like I can't, because even the guy from the Rockies, I mean, when's the last time I watched the Rockies, right? I don't know if he's better than Perkins or Perkins better. You know what I mean? Like tomato there, probably. Like it's probably splitting hairs if you're talking that. And in the NL, I mean, just thinking, and there's some AL guys that I would at least put with Perkins, because I think like Mullins on the Orioles, I think he's like very good.
Oh yeah, they're dynamic, but like
right, like there's just guys I'm trying to think, off the top of my head. Shoot, he can't hit for crap either. He was on the Rays and then the Blue Jays. Who's Kiermaier? He's a dog on like one of the best center fielders probably in this generation.
He's like a Sal Frelick. He definitely is. He's like a Sal Frelick kind of dude. Like lay it all out.
Yeah, no, just those like Mullins. You talk about Perkins. You talk about the guy from the Rockies there. Yeah, like he's in the conversation, right? Like, and I'll have to go back and watch some more. My goal is to watch some more Brewers baseball this year anyway, just to get up to more speed there. But and I love baseball, so like the more the better. Catch him when I can, but I definitely take your word for it. I mean, I'm looking at his stats, looking at his, the fact that he is a Gold Glove finalist, no slouch, like, you know what I mean? So you can make the case, hey, he's worth it on defense. Like his defense makes up for the not so great average, right? The not so great offense. Like there's guys like Kiermaier's never been a guy that can hit or a guy that can rake. Like he's not a guy that, but I mean, he started on the Jays, or on the Rays, I should say. Started on the Jays for a while. I don't know if he's still there, but yeah, I mean, you can make the case, or at least maybe 5 out of 7 games, like that type of deal. There's a play, that if you can, yeah, like look at Kiermaier last season. Toronto and the Dodgers hit a $197 with 5 home runs. Like that ain't giving you much.
Here's to put into perspective of Blake Perkins. 300 putouts, 1 error.
Yeah.
300 putouts, 1 error.
I'd love to see the guy on the right. Like how, what I mean? How's the guy?
That is, I mean, I don't have the complete metrics in front of me because I don't want to go deep diving right now. But I get what people say when they're like, the dude can't hit. Sure, he can't hit. Last year, I believe his batting average was probably around, I don't know, probably 200. Like it wasn't nothing to write home about. And he batted 240 last year. He batted 240. Like he had, 43 RBIs. At one point, he was one of the better hitters in the lineup. And I get what people say, like he doesn't have a bat to write home about. But you show me a lineup out there that they have 9 dudes who bat over like 250. Every dude bats over 250. Some guys are out there strictly for their defense. Like that is why they're out there. And that's why Blake Perkins is out there, for his defense. They don't put him at the top of the lineup and say, like, I'm expecting you to get me some hits here. I'm expecting you to rip off some RBIs. Like, he's in there for his defense. And that's what you got to do sometimes. You have guys who are just defenders.
Exactly. No, exactly. How many, because I want to compare them real quick. How many games did he play last year?
He played in 121 games.
Okay. Let me see. Fielding percentage? You got that?
Fielding percentage for him, 997. He's almost perfect out in the field. Like, there's people dissing on this guy.
That is why. And just how many put out? Because I'll give you. I got Doyle's stats here from the Rockies.
What do you got for Doyle?
You got putouts on. That's the only other thing I wanted to just mention.
Putouts was 300. Assists were 7, I believe. 7.
Okay.
He had 2 double plays.
There's a case to me. So Doyle had a good many more opportunities, right? So he played in 149 games, so 20 plus games, right? But Doyle did make 4 errors on the season. He has a fielding percentage of 991, so not nearly as good, honestly. And he's got 8 assists, so he's got 1 more assist, but a lot more games played. And putouts 426. So, tomatoes to tomatoes there, but
yeah. I mean, all that I'm saying is like
997 is video game numbers. That is video game numbers.
And Brenton Doyle hit what 260. I mean, he ain't that much better than Blake Perkins. So like, come on now. I get it. I get the hate for his batting. But I mean, he's not. Are you expecting him? Like, do you want the whole lineup to hit 300? Like, you're not going to get that. Like, if you're asking for this entire Brewers lineup to hit you 300 and give you plus 20 bombs, every single one of them, good luck. Like, good luck to you. You're not getting it out of a Brewers lineup. But if you give me a lockdown defender out there in center field who can run down everything and bring back as many home runs as he did, like, there's like a freaking 10-minute video on him bringing back home runs. And it's a long video. Like, it's a long video and a lot of clips. Like, that's how good he is out in center field. So, I mean, yes, I wish he had a higher batting average. Maybe he does. Maybe he turns it around this year. But, I mean, if you want defense, give me Blake Perkins. Like, just give me Blake Perkins, and that's my dude. Like, if you give me an outfield of Blake Perkins, Garrett Mitchell, and Sal Frelick, good luck getting a ball down in the outfield with them guys. So we got a couple cross text in line here. Brantley Gilbert says, do you think we'll ever see anything close to MVP Yelich? Yeah.
I mean, last year he was on.
Last year. Yeah, I agree. Last year, up until he got hurt. So, yeah, I do think he's got the capability. I think it was about staying healthy and keeping that back right. Because when your back ain't right and you're trying to hit, it ain't going to end well. Like, you're feeling it with every swing. So, yeah, I think we could. I really do. The hard part is nowadays you have to deal with Shohei Ohtani. And the dude just, I mean, well, for some reason, people still throw him dead red down the middle. But that's besides the point. Like, sometimes I'm like, okay, Shohei Ohtani's a great hitter. Don't get me wrong. He's a great hitter. But I see the pitches that some of these guys are throwing to him, and I'm like, why are you challenging him high? Why are you challenging him high and dead red? Like, why? Like, why? And like throwing a sinker or like throwing some crappy changeup and you leave it hang. Like, what is Shohei Ohtani gonna do with that? Like, it's sometimes I watch it, I'm like, yeah, there's a reason why he's batting 300 and has got this many bombs. Like, I'm watching guys throw to him there. We got another one here. Perkins is good in the field, but can he get a better batting average? I hope so. Like, I'm not saying that, like, I don't wish he had a better batting average. I'm just saying that sometimes you got to sacrifice offense for defense, right? Sometimes you just gotta. And I tell you what, if you nobody can deny me that if the game was on the line and you needed somebody out in the outfield, you wouldn't want Blake Perkins. You wouldn't want him. Like, that dude's a dog. And if he stays like that in the outfield, I'd take him night in and night out. The Brewers did. They did make a move. We did see the Brewers sign Elvin Rodriguez to a 1-year deal, club option for 2026 with Milwaukee there. Pitched 26. He's 26. Pitched last season in Tokyo, went 1-1 with a 1.80 ERA, 1 save, 32 games, 1 start, had a 1.16 whip. Pitched with Detroit, Tampa Bay at 1 point, short time, went overseas, went to Tokyo, had a decent year. They're bringing him back. We'll see what he does there with the Brewers. Just a little tidbit, just a little signing there. We do have to I'm going to double up on the ads here real fast. I'm going to double up on the ads because we got to get to our sponsors here. We've gone long with the Brewers tonight here. We're going to get to our sponsors here real fast. We're going to come back. We got one more Bob Uecker fact to get to for the 89th minute. I think that's like an hour and 29 minutes. So we're going to get to that Bob Uecker fact here to end it here. We're going to get to our ads. We're going to come back. I want to preview that game. I hate to get out of the Brewers because it was an awesome Brewers talk tonight here. But I want to get to the Badgers game with USC because I want to preview that game here real fast. Badgers taking on USC tomorrow. I want to get to that game quick. We'll see what time we have left. We'll get more Brewer talk, more Bob Uecker facts there. So we'll be back on the other side of
this show is brought to you by these fantastic sponsors. Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in to see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. Next, we have Sport and Spine Clinic of Greenwood. Have you been injured recently, whether it was at work, shoveling snow, or mowing the lawn? Stop in and see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood. He will get you right, get you back to work, back to shoveling snow, back to mowing the lawn, doing whatever you were doing, feeling better than ever. And then we have Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. This show is brought to you by these fantastic sponsors. Marshfield Motor Speedway, located 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great racing. I cannot think of a better way to spend a summer day or night than down at the track. Next is Sports Scene in Marshfield, Wisconsin, located at the Marshfield Mall. Get down there and see Al. He has everything you need, from sports cards, memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield. And then we have Peggy Sue Beslick, Century 21. Do you want to find your dream home or maybe looking to sell your current property? Let Peggy Sue Beslick at Century 21 help you with all of your housing or property needs.
You know what I always tell you, Aaron? New year, buy, sell, get rid of that clunker. That's what you got to do. Call Peggy Sue. So I know it was a little weird there. We had to double up our ads. We completely spaced on them tonight there. I know. Sorry. We spaced on them tonight here. We got so long with the Brewers. It was a great talk. That was a great Brewer talk. There. We got lots in depth. I mean, not many people even thinking about the Brewers this time of year, and we just went in depth like it's middle of the season. We're ready to rock and roll. Like, that's awesome. And it's close. I mean, it's getting close. Brewer baseball is right around the corner. Their pitchers and catchers will report there soon enough. So I want to get to the Badgers USC. We got to get to our NFL picks for this weekend here. We got to talk about that Eagles team and everything like that. So quickly, let's get to the Badgers versus USC here. So Badgers going in, taking on USC. That'll be tomorrow there. Just lost my tab. I had it wide open and I lost it. That'll be a 2:00 start there on Big Ten Network coming up tomorrow there from USC. So that's going to be out there in California, the Gallon Center out there in USC. It's so weird to think that they're sending teams out to I know, bless everybody in California, the firefighters and everything like that, like prayers to everything that's happening out there. But it's so weird to see games happening out there right now. Like, to think about the tragedy that's been out there so far. And then it's like, there's a game going on. Like, it's different. It definitely is different there. But the Badgers heading out there, they got that West Coast swing coming up, taking on USC to start it here. And then UCLA. USC right now, they're 11-6, 3-3 in conference play right now. Right now, if you look at this all-time season series between Wisconsin and USC, it's tied 2-2. So they've only faced each other 4 times in program history, and they're 2-2 right now against USC there. Some notable wins for USC, and they've been as of late. They got a big win against number 13 Illinois. That was in Illinois. They won that game 82-72. We know how good Illinois is. USC went into Illinois, got a win, so that's a big win for them. And then against Iowa, they won 99-89 there. But the losses are what stand out. And it was a struggle to start this year for USC. They lost to Michigan 85-74, lost to Indiana 82-69, lost to Oregon 68-60, lost to New Mexico, lost to St. Mary's. They only scored 36 points against St. Mary's. And then they lost to Cal 71-66. So a lot of losses there to be talked about for USC. A slow start to the season for them. But they got some good players on this team. I mean, Desmond Claude, the guard, 16 points per game right now. He's 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 50% from the field. Not a bad shooting percentage at all for him there, and 30% from downtown. So he's been shooting the ball pretty darn well on the season there. He leads them in scoring. Looking at the next guy up there, Chibuzo Ugba. I don't know how to say his name there, except for Chibuzo Ugbo or something like that. 12 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 41% from the field, 39% from downtown there for Chibuzo there. And then Yates, Williams, and Thomas, they're all about 10 points a game right there. So a pretty balanced scoring attack all the way across for USC. I mean, look at the points per game there. Desmond with 16, and then Chibuzo with 12, and then Yates and Williams and Thomas all with 10 points a game. So, I mean, pretty balanced across the board. They're scoring for this team. They like to use cutters. That ball's got to be moving. It's like we talk about Wisconsin, right? That ball's got to be moving. They're scoring it. They thrive off of ball movement is the biggest thing. So if you can slow down that basketball, you slow down USC in this one. Some of the team stats to go over for USC, 77 points per game. They allow about 71 points per game. You look at the Badgers, they score over 80 plus per game there. So you're putting that in perspective. What can the Badgers offense do against the defense for USC that's held teams to 71 points per game on the season there? They're about 48% from the field, 34% from 3, 74% from the free throw line there, 11.6 turnovers per game there. About 6 steals a game, about 3 blocks per game, 16 assists. Like I was talking about with the ball movement there, they rely heavily on that basketball moving around and creating open shots out of that. So that's 16 assists per game definitely shows that. And they get about 17.7 fouls per game. So they foul a good amount. They foul a good amount there. So the Badgers, you know what the Badgers love to do? They love to get to the free throw line. This team in USC loves the fouls. So those two things could work out in the Badgers' favor there. Keys to the game for me here. So I'll hit my keys real fast here. The Badgers they got to get in the paint. They got to own the paint. They got to win the paint, right? We always talk about every game. They got to win the paint there. Use the size advantage. Biggest guys walking out there for USC, about 6'10", They're about 6'10" there. I mean, you never know, right? You get the skewed asterisks in there. They're about 6'10". So your biggest guys walking around 6'10". Badgers got to use their size advantage. Utilize the bigs like Crowell. We talked about in that last game against Ohio State. They went away from Crowell. Crowell's been huge as of late here. Utilize the big fella. You will win this basketball game. Work it inside out. That's the biggest thing. Work it inside out. Crowell's got to be big time. You'll be just fine in this one here. You got to control the glass. Like I was just talking about, owning the paint, controlling the glass. Win the rebounding battle. Limit the offensive rebounds in this game. Ohio State in that second half was able to get a lot of offensive rebounds against Badgers. Badgers have got to clean up the glass in this game here and clean up that offensive glass. So those are some of the things I'm watching for. Limit the turnovers. Limit the turnovers. 6 steals a game for USC. They want to get after you. They want to turn you over. How are you going to lose this game? You play sloppy. Control the basketball in this game here. Limit them turnovers. You'll be just fine. Get to the rim and win at the foul line. That's what I was just mentioning there with the foul, 17.7 a game, close to the top of the Big Ten. Get to the free throw line in this game and win it from the free throw line. It seems like such a stupid thing, right? You shouldn't have to rely on free throws. Guess what? When you shoot them at a high percentage, you shoot it well, and you get 20 plus, you'll win a lot of basketball games. Get to the free throw line, control it there. Get your guards going downhill, work yourself towards the rim. Utilize the depth. Utilize the depth in this one. I want to see Carter Gilmore get some minutes. I want to see him put up some shots. I want to see Kamari McGee out there, Jack Janicki, Xavier Amos. I want to see those guys get minutes, and I want to see them put up big minutes and put up big numbers for you. That's going to be huge, is get bench scoring, right? The Badgers, years past, even this year, they get bench scoring, but it's limited, right? I want to see the Badgers get some extended minutes from that bench there, and I want to see them be able to knock down some shots. So that's what I'm watching for in this one here. Don't settle for bad shots. Late in that game against Ohio State, they were settling. They weren't working in the post. They're playing ISO basketball, that crap ISO basketball that I was talking about. The ball's glued to the perimeter. Work for good shots. Don't take bad shots in this one. Turn up that tempo defensively. USC turns the basketball over 11.6 times per game there, right? Almost 12. Turn USC over. Utilize what you can. Get after them defensively. Turn that baby up there and force some turnovers. Deter those passing lanes, right? I said when USC is at their best, they get all them assists, 16 assists per game. That's a boatload of assists. You got to be able to slow them down there, deter those passing lanes, try to cut them off there. They're best when they're moving the basketball. Take that away from them. Be in front of, stop the penetration, stop the kickouts. You'll be just fine in this game. So a big game coming up for the Badgers here to start out this West Coast swing that they got coming up here with USC and then UCLA coming up early next week there. So a couple of big games out there on the West Coast there. USC, I mean, not highly thought about in the Big Ten right now, but Michigan just lost to Minnesota last night. They're on a buzzer beater. If nobody saw that, Minnesota won on a buzzer beater against Michigan there. So we know nobody's untouchable anymore, right? Nobody's untouchable. Michigan was undefeated. They went into Minnesota. Minnesota didn't really have much of a prayer in that game. They were 0-6 in conference play. Pull off the win, right? Anything can happen in the Big Ten, especially on the road. So when you're going on the road in the Big Ten, you got to control the little things, free throws, rebounding, the little things in those games that can win you those big games, right? So this is a big game for the Badgers here to get it right. Start out right on the West Coast there, go to UCLA, pick up a win, and then come back home and face Nebraska. Because for some reason, Nebraska worries me just because of Connor Essegian coming back. That just worries me. Connor Essegian coming back there, he might light us on fire. Like, that's just my worry with Connor Essegian there. So we're just about at the 89-minute mark. I believe I was right in thinking 89 meant an hour 29. So we're going to get to our next fact or story here in just a second. We're going to pick our games real fast here. We're at the end, right? Hour 30 is our end. We're at the end of the show here, but I want to get to our picks here for the weekend. So Aaron, let's get to our last, hold on. We got 6 seconds there. We're going to throw in our 89th minute is going to be because Major League, the movie, came out in 1989. So Bob Uecker was that movie. I got to be honest with you, was that movie. They asked, before you get to your factor, I had one, Jonathan Lucroy once asked Bob Uecker, so let me see if I can find that one. I wrote it down here somewhere in my notebook of notes here. Jonathan Lucroy asked Bob about Major League and how he enjoyed filming it. He said that he ad-libbed his lines and never watched it after. He was serious. I love that movie. I absolutely love that movie, and Bob Uecker makes that movie. Like, honestly, like, imagine it. Imagine the movie Major League without Bob Uecker. Honestly. Like, you just throw some jokes in there. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Like, when Major League 2, when Michiro Tanaka's out there and he knocks himself out cold for the second time this week. Some people say that he's, playing hard. I just think he's trying to get out of the game or something like that. Like Bob Uecker just brought that movie to life. And I'm going to watch Major League this weekend. I'm going to watch them both. I'm going to watch both movies. Like he made those movies. So Aaron, in our 89th minute of the show here, what do you got for our last fact story of Bob Uecker for the day here?
Yeah, they're like, probably missed the mark on some of them just because, there's so many.
It's so
like
hard
overload.
to pick the best ones.
I kind of just try to pick some interesting, like just outside of baseball, even because we know, he's Mr. Baseball, but he showed up in the same Miller Lite commercials as Rodney Dangerfield, John Madden, Dick Butkus, Bubba Smith, George Steinbrenner, Red Auerbach, Tom Heisel, a bunch of guys, right? Like literally, Boog Powell, another Oriole player back from his era, like a bunch of guys, right? Just a bunch of legendary guys. I mean, you're talking John Madden, you're talking like just big company, and some guys on the East Coast, like they don't know, hey, Miller Lite's Milwaukee, but if you know, right? So like just the fact that he represented like Miller Lite too, that's a big deal. Like that's, you're talking like once again, you're tying it into America, baseball, Miller Lite, Milwaukee, like Wisconsin, like it all just kind of like goes together. So the fact that he was like kind of Miller Lite's ambassador for a little bit, pretty cool stuff. Like he it ties into the whole acting thing. Like he's a Swiss Army knife. The guy can do it all. So
there's the Tuba incident too. The Tuba incident, he didn't get to play for the Cardinals. So he played for the Cardinals and he didn't get to play in the Fall Classic. And he insisted it was because they iced him out because of the Tuba incident. So there were 3 Dixie bands playing in the outfield during batting practice before one of the games, and Uecker had donned a tuba and used it to shag fly balls. So he was running around with a tuba and shagging fly balls out there. And management didn't appreciate the show, so Uecker was slapped with a $260 bill for the dented tuba there. So he said they iced him out of the World Series of the Fall Classic there. But I mean, technically wasn't part of the team that went to the World Series there for the Cardinals. So that's just awesome. And yeah, I did have the story there about the baseball card. I did not believe it, but every one of his baseball cards had the wrong birthday on the back of it up until 2014. They all said that he was born in 1935. So this article that I was reading, it made sure that you knew that it said that he was born in 1935, and he never cared to fix the mistake until 2014 when he finally set the record straight on his 80th birthday, when he told everybody that he was born in 1934 and not 1935 there. So that's just awesome. That's just awesome. Like it took that long, and then they finally like, yeah, you guys have gotten it wrong for years upon years now. So that's absolutely hilarious.
Did you see where he said like about how in 1965, he's like, my baseball card came out, and he's like, I knew my career was over because there was no picture on it. Like, that's such a Uecker like, that's once again, just his humor is top notch. Like being a good sport about it, but it's like, dang, they really left my picture on. Like that is a little slap in the face, right? It's like, man, I didn't even get a picture.
I think he always posed left-handed in his baseball cards too. I'm pretty darn sure. If you look it up, I think he always posed left-handed because I think Jonathan Lucroy did the same thing because that's what Bob did. So he did the same thing that Bob did, is he'd always pose like he was a left-handed hitter. I swear that's what Lucroy was saying.
Yeah.
One of his things there. That was awesome. Like and Lucroy would just he copied him and just like took it that same way. But I did see one of I just wanted to put it out there, but I did see Carlos Gomez talking about Bob Uecker. And early in his days in Milwaukee, like Carlos Gomez was lost. Like he didn't know what to do. Like he was struggling and he was sucking and he didn't know what to do. And Bob was one of the first ones who came into that locker room, put his hand on his shoulder and said, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You're going to start. You're going to be all right. And he was. And we all know what Carlos Gomez kind of turned into with the Brewers there. Awesome center fielder, awesome player. And like never an all-star player. Well, he was an all-star, but never like never an over-the-top hitter or anything like that. But Bob Uecker, I mean, that's the effect that he had. They said that they brought him into the locker room to talk to players, like during slumps and stuff like that. Like they'd bring him in.
He had a locker too, right?
Yeah,
he had his own locker.
He would come down and like when they were in slumps or anything like that, he would come down and he would talk to the players and he'd get them riled up and get them all fiery again and everything like that and tell them it was going to be okay and like, we'll be fine. And like, he was just the heart and soul of that team. And everybody knew him. Everybody loved him. And he talked to everybody and, talked to Freddie. Him and Freddie had a good relationship. And I mean, that clubhouse they loved him. And I know my one buddy, he was down there at a Brewer game, and he said he saw Bob Uecker roll up in his Corvette. Like, he had a Corvette. He said he saw him roll up in the jet black Corvette, almost run into somebody. And then he kept going, and he'd park in the stadium and everything like that. But he rolls through and almost hit somebody on the way through there. Like, but drove that jet black Corvette. He was pretty darn awesome in that way there. But Aaron, let's get to our picks. Let's get to our picks quick. We'll wrap it up for the day here. Let's start out in the AFC. We got the Saturday games, Chiefs and Texans. I think the Texans keep it close. I think they keep it close. I don't think it says 8.5. I really don't think Kansas City Chiefs blow them out. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win it, but I think it's going to be closer. I like the Texans defense. I think they can turn guys over.
I do. And I'm on the fence on if they'll blow them out. Like, to me, it's a coin toss. Like, it's splitting hairs. Cause I'm like, man, the Chiefs coming off a week of rest, like Mahomes, like fresh. But I do hear what you're saying. I think the Chiefs win. I'm not sure about how much I would be cautious to bet like Chiefs spread, but I think hey, you called the Texans last week. That was I think you were the only one.
Yeah, I won the picks last week.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it came down to the Commanders. I was the only one to pick the Commanders to win, and then my wife picked the Vikings to win, and we all picked the Rams. So she was the only one who could have beat me after that, and the Vikings lost. So I got the win. Off of that. Crap, I got to get the picks in there. Brantley, if you're still out there in the comment section, you can pick the games along with us. Anybody in the comment section, if you want to pick the games with us here, pick them with us.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm with you, though. I think Chiefs win. I don't know about how much, but the Chiefs win.
Okay, so we both got the Chiefs winning that first game there. Let's stick AFC. Well, no, let's go to the other Saturday game. I'm pretty sure we got Lions and Commanders. That's the other Saturday game there. So who do we got? Lions, Commanders. I think a lot of people are like, this is going to be a blowout. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout. I really don't. I think a lot of people, they discredit a lot this Commanders team is pretty darn good. They're not as good as the Lions, but I think they're a pretty darn good football team. Like, I think it's going to be it might end up being a 2-score game, but I think it's going to feel closer than that. Give me the Lions, but I think it's going to be a good game. And if anybody wants a game where they go for it on 4th down every single time, it's going to be this one.
Yeah.
Both teams.
I'm with you. Once again, talking about a team coming off a bye there, Detroit, probably needed it more than anybody. Like you had talked about so much there with the injuries and stuff like that. I think I'm not going to say they pummel them, but I don't think Washington really in the end is close, to be honest with you. I just think Detroit at home, like that place is going to be rocking there. Ford Field, I think they call it there. Yeah. So, give me the Lions. Like I think somewhat easily there.
All right. Lions in that one. Next up, let's go flip it back over to, let's stay in the NFC.
Brantley there. What's the shout?
Did Brantley come in?
Yeah, he said, what's the shout out for? And I was, just, hey, do the picks with us.
Yeah, we got the picks, Brantley. We're asking you what you want to do with the picks there. I can't see his comment coming in. I don't know what's going on now. I don't know what's going on, but tell me what he picks. Tell me your picks there, Brantley. Who do you got? We got Chiefs and Lions already done. Who do you got in the Chiefs Texans? Who do you got in the Lions and Commanders? That's what we're trying to figure out right now.
Oh, there he's coming in. Yeah.
Got it. Now the comments are coming across on my end. Now I'm seeing them. Give me your picks, Brantley. Who do you got? We didn't have John. John's not in here tonight. I was going to tell him that he lost, just like his Oregon Ducks lost. But
exactly. Got to.
We'll let Brantley catch up there. He's got the Lions and the Chiefs 100%. There we go.
All right.
So we got Lions and we got Chiefs 100%. Next up, we have, let's see here. We got Eagles and Rams. And I told you the other night, Aaron, I was watching a different show over there on Integrity Sports, and they're like, this is going to be an epic blowout. The Rams can't keep up with the friggin' Eagles, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? they said that about the Packers too, and the Eagles look like trash against the Packers. I'm just kidding. They won the football game, right? And I heard, I can't remember what ESPN announcer or what ESPN analyst it was the other day, but I was maybe on Fox. And he's like, you're just nuts if you think that the Eagles offense didn't play a good game. They won by multiple scores against the Packers. And I'm like, what? Like, are you serious right now? Like, if you think that was a good performance by the Eagles offense, I'm sorry. Like, that was not an epic performance. That was not an epic performance whatsoever. So, I mean, I don't want to discredit them here because I thought the Eagles, they were the better team. I think they're the better team than the Packers, and by all means, yes. But, like, they did not play a good game. And if the Packers played a semi-decent game and didn't shoot themselves in the foot, man, oh, man, like, come on. I don't think – okay, I think the Eagles win this game. I think the Eagles win. I don't think they blow the Rams out. I really don't. Like, you have Matt Stafford, you have Nakua. I get that they ran for, and this was the argument that I got from the Philly fans the other day I was talking about, is they were like, oh, yeah, Saquon went for a boatload of yards the first time they saw him. I was like, this is a different game, dude. It's a different game. The first time the Packers played the Eagles, A.J. Brown went off, and Devontae Smith had a good game. Guess what happened the second game? Not so much. Jalen Hurts was coming back from injury. I get that. He had a concussion. He was coming back, but, like, they did not look good. And the Eagles defense looked good. Don't get me wrong. The Eagles defense looked good. So, like, I'm saying, I think Philly wins it, but I think it's close. I think it's close there. I think it's definitely
6.5. They're laying 6.5 on Philly right now.
I don't like that. I'd give them 3. I'd give them 3.
Wow.
Like, I think Philly can win. Like, I think Philly will win, but the Rams are not a pushover team. And, I know their defense doesn't look great, but they have some playmakers on that defense. So I'm going to go Philly, but I'm going to say it's a close ball game there.
I hear you. I'm not trying to be Philly front runner now because now I'm going to sound like it, right? But the only reason I say that is 3 to 5 inches of snow, 33 degrees there in Philly.
Yeah,
Sunday.
But I said that about the 49ers coming into Lambeau when they played Aaron Rodgers, and guess what?
Yeah,
the
but
49ers won.
San Fran is like they do get some cold. Like, hey, they're playing in SoFi every week, so give me the fact that the Rams are like, oh man, like that, playing it nice in SoFi, climate controlled environment. I just think that's going to throw them off a little. Like,
I don't know. Matt Stafford, dude. Matt Stafford.
I know, but yeah, he played inside Detroit too. So I'm not saying he can't do it.
I know.
I think it's I'm used to this. I'm used to this.
Yep.
I'm used to this. And then boom, give me snow, right? So
weather plays an effect. I agree. Weather plays an effect on
only because of that. I think the spread's like right where I feel like they'll get them at. I think 7's fair. I could even see 7 to 10 in this. I just feel like they're gonna do enough. I am a little bit worried with Nakobe Dean going down. Excuse me. A big reason why that defensive front gets pressure is Nakobe Dean this year. Tore his ACL against the Packers there last week, so not great. And I am a little bit worried about the Rams front. You talk about the Rams defense being like so. It definitely, it has its strengths and weaknesses, but their front is a strength. But I think the Eagles will do enough. This to me screams as it's going to be an ugly game. I just feel like neither offense will really get rolling that well because of the weather. I'm worried that they're going to load the box and limit Saquon drastically. So I would almost look at this as like, I don't know if Saquon gets a monster game here, but I think the Eagles win by 7 to 10. I just think they make enough plays defensively, and it's probably a somewhat low scoring game. I think. I mean, I just feel like that.
I agree. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I really don't. I don't think the Eagles run away with this game. I think the Rams keep it close. I do. I think the Rams keep it. I got to pick a different one here. I got to pick somebody different here because my wife, she's chiming in now. She wants in on the picks. She said Chiefs, Lions, Eagles, and Bills. So she took all the top seeds there. Brantley, who do you got? He's telling us over here, Dan Campbell. He doesn't like something about the Eagles or something. I don't know. But Brantley, who do you got? Who do you got? Eagles and Rams. Who do you got? Eagles and Rams.
Who's Brantley a fan? Isn't he a Patriots fan, right?
No, he's a Vikings fan. He's a Vikings fan. He's like the Packer fans right now. We got no say in the boat right now. What's going on out there? I gotta go back. I gotta go back here. I gotta pick a different game here because I'm gonna pick the Bills. So I know a lot of people are gonna pick the Bills. I need an upset. I need an upset that nobody's expecting. Give me the Rams.
Wow.
Give me the Rams. Give me the Rams. Give me the
Yeah.
Rams to go into Philly and just blow it open, right? And this is what I'm going to say. This is what I'm going to say. I get the weather. I get the weather. I do. But if Philly comes out and they play another game like they did on the game against the Packers, if they play another game like that, Matt Stafford and that offense ain't going to blink. They ain't going to blink. Like, they'll be just fine in a game like that. I know the secondary played all right. I know they played all right, but they also don't have playmakers like Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp out there. So if Philly plays like they did against Green Bay, if they come out flat like that and they play like they did against Green Bay, I don't put it against the Rams to win that football game. I don't. I really don't. I think they can adjust. I think they can adjust to what's happening. Kyren Williams is not an over-the-top back, but he's a good enough back. I'm going to take the Rams. That's my upset. And anybody out there is like, this guy's an idiot because he's like, picking the Rams over the Eagles. I'm just doing it because I got to be different. I got to be different because otherwise nobody's going to win this. Like,
I thought you'd go Baltimore for sure. I thought you'd go.
No, my other one was going to be Commanders over Lions. That was going to be my other one. I don't like Ravens over Bills isn't a cool upset. Like last week, I picked the Texans to beat the Chargers. Like I saw that as an upset. I picked that. I saw it as an upset. I picked the Commanders over the Buccaneers.
Now you're scaring me because you called that. So now you're getting bad juju over here.
Give me all of them. Give me the Texans over the Chiefs. Give me the Commanders over the Lions. Give me the Rams over the Eagles. Just say screw it.
Yeah. Hey, all but the Eagles, but that would be fun. Hey, that would be fun, right? Oh my goodness, that would be chaos.
Brantley's got the Eagles. Brantley's got the Eagles there. I see that one now. He's got the Eagles because I think they run Saquon more than they did their last game. Then they will win. And Matt is good, but he chokes sometimes. Yeah, well, Matt Stafford's a dog. Leave him alone.
He is. I nothing but respect for that guy.
That dude is a dog. I hate when people are like, Mahomes is the first one to do this, and Mahomes is the first one to flip a sidearm. It's like, watch prime Matthew Stafford. Like, if you watch Rodgers and Matthew Stafford in their prime, it's like, this has happened before, guys. Like this, I know Mahomes is a generational quarterback, and I know he's fantastic. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a great quarterback. But like, Matt Stafford was slinging that baby sidearm long before. And Aaron Rodgers was dropping dimes in the corner of the end zone long before. It's like, I get Mahomes is fantastic. But like Matt Stafford, he's a dog. He's still a great quarterback. So I think that's going to be a heck of a game. I really do. I think that could be a heck of a game there. I don't think it's a blowout. I know I was listening, like I said, to that show the other night there, and they were like, oh, it's going to be 31-14 Philly. And I'm like, whoa, like there's overconfidence and there's overconfidence, brother. Like that's rough. And then they're like, Commanders are going to get completely torched by the Lions. And I'm like, maybe, right? But if Jane Daniels got a dog in the fight, he's got a dog in the fight. Like Jane Daniels can ball out with the best of them. Ask Eagle fans, right? 5 touchdowns, multiple interceptions, still won the football game. Like Jane Daniels can ball out with the best of them. So like, I know CJ Stroud can ball. Like I know he can ball. I know that Texans don't have a lot of weapons, but you got Joe Mixon. You got Joe Mixon back there. You got Nico Collins. CJ Stroud can ball it out. That defense is good. Like I wouldn't put past all 4 of these games to be tight and to be very good contests. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. I know the Chiefs got some playmakers. I know they ball out, but like the Texans got a good defense. And I know they can put up points with Joe Mixon and CJ Stroud if he gets hot. Commanders, Jane Daniels can get hot. Look at the Rams with Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford. Like I would not put past any of these games to be like close, like be good games.
I gotta say something to Brantley there. I mean, hey, we're avenging your I'm sorry you have Sam Darnold. I tried to tell you all year that was going to come crashing down at some point. The one playoff game he gets you to, craps the bed for you, like right on cue. But
I don't know if I can blame that on Sam. Like that. How do you draw up? I mean, I love Kevin O'Connell. I do. But when I'm watching the Rams just constantly bring freaking heat after heat, and he's getting blindsided, and I know you have to be aware of when to get rid of the football. And I know he wasn't aware on some of them picks or some of them, he got sacked a couple of times and he wasn't aware of the pocket and everything like that. Like it wasn't. I'm not saying it wasn't. Some of it wasn't his fault, but like the Rams were they took what was it a week earlier the Lions did. What Aaron Glenn did against them. They took what he did and just did it again. Like, that's all they did. They were like, I'm going to throw this all at you and make you win it. And they shut down the receiving core for the Vikings. Justin Jefferson was blanketed. Addison was blanketed. It's like, it just didn't look the same as what you would have saw. And the offensive line, I mean, they had, I can't remember, it was a Cam Robinson. Is that freaking, was he at tackle or is he at guard? I can't remember where he was at, but the Jacksonville Jaguars basically let you have him for a reason. Like, he was bad. And we saw that in that game. Like, it was just, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying Sam Darnold played a good game. I'm not at all. I'm not saying Sam Darnold is a free pass for that game, but like, it just looked bad on all facets. Like, that offensive line looked bad. They shut down the run game. It was just, that was ugly.
I was just trying to say to Brantley, I mean, like, if we take the Rams out, you should be happy because they beat. I mean, that's how I look at it. Like, if the Packers would have beat us last week, I don't know. I don't mind. See, I don't have a hatred towards the Rams. I'm just like, whatever.
I don't hate the Eagles, but that one fan kind of made me a sour taste for the Eagles right now. Like, after he did that, I was like, for all Philly fans, I'm sorry, but go Rams. Like, I don't know. That guy he left us like a bad taste in my mouth. I don't want to hate. I don't hate all Philly fans. Like, I don't hate you. Like, you're good. I don't hate you. But like, he made me hate Philly for a while. Like, that was just uncalled for bull crap and everything like that. And I saw he did a formal apology and everything. It's like,
of course, now he did. Yeah,
too little, too late, brother. You got fired, and you basically, your whole life is screwed because you couldn't figure out how to shut up. Like, sorry. Like, I don't know. Like,
it's not that deep, man. Those players aren't going to get you a new job. Let's put it that way.
No, nobody really cares at this point here. You effed up, and now you got to live with it, and that story's out there forever. So, like, good luck getting another hospitality job because that's not very hospitable of you in the Philly stadium there to try and get Packer fans back. So, but at least the Philadelphia Eagles made right by the fan. I know they're planning to send some Packer gear over to her and everything like that. So, I mean, at least the Eagles made it right, or well, at least trying to make it right there. And that fan is banned for life and like should be. Like, that was just terrible. That is absolutely terrible.
Bad.
So get those people out of anywhere near a stadium. So we do have our last game here. Let's see here. We got, my wife said the Bills. Brantley, who do you got? Bills and Ravens. I'm going to take the Bills. I think the Bills finally do it. I think this is a dogfight. I think it's like, this is going to be a Josh Allen lead the Bills down the field late in the game and win it kind of game. I think it's going to be Ravens take the lead, Bills go down and win it. I think that's what we're going to see here.
This is, I mean, to me, this is the game of the weekend. This is a tough one, honestly. I know Baltimore played a pretty crappy Steelers team that looked checked out at least half the game. Josh will wipe the fly. I don't know if I see that. I just don't know.
I like that one. I like the confidence. I like that. He's an angry Vikings fan now. He doesn't care. He's just telling it like, screw off.
That's fair. I don't ever trust Lamar in the playoffs completely, and I don't want to go away from that. It is surprising Ravens are favored on the road. That is quite surprising. So Vegas thinks something of that. I do think the Bills too, but this is the first time we've seen the Ravens with Derrick Henry, right? Like in the outside of this year, who he's had Odell, he's had running backs, right? Mark Ingram, the list goes on and on and on and on. But Derrick Henry's he's a different animal. That guy is. I would have been fine if the Eagles got Derrick Henry over Saquon. Like, that's how much I do think of Derrick Henry, always have. If Josh Allen doesn't win this game, Sean McDermott's canned. He has to be. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be McDermott's fault, but I mean, if they don't win this game, I think Bills, but this is, like you said, I think this might even be a last second field goal type drive. Like, this is like, 10 seconds left, 8 seconds left. They bang a 40-something yarder to win it. Didn't look at the weather out there, but I mean, both teams can play in the elements, but hopefully it'll be some chaos, right? Some crazy wind, some snow. Like, why not? Buffalo is just that's a place on its own. Like, that just has its own zip. Like, it's just away from civilization and people jumping off buses and breaking tables, probably breaking their back in the process, but that's what they do out there. They live for this type of stuff. So
the only possible way that somebody doesn't tie for first place is if I win. If the Rams beat Philly, I win. If the Rams lose to Philly and everything else, it doesn't even matter. Because if everything else is a win or a loss, everybody else is the same. Chiefs, Lions, Eagles, and Bills.
I almost want to take Baltimore just for that. Just because, like...
See, that's why I took the Rams. I was like, screw it. Like, in the one game that I think if, like, the Eagles came out flat or something stupid like they did against the Packers, I'm like, the Rams could take advantage. The Rams could be a team to take advantage. I really thought Commanders. I was, like, pondering Commanders over Lions because I'm like, the Lions defense... The thing with the Lions defense that nobody thinks about, and they're like, Aaron Glenn is this great defensive coordinator, which I think he is. But the one thing, their pass defense sucks. They suck in the secondary. Jane Daniels can light you up. So what could happen there? Jane Daniels could light up that secondary, which could make it a high-scoring, high-flying. Maybe Dan Campbell makes a stupid decision, and I could see the Commanders pulling up. Like, I think all these games could be very good games. Like, I really do. Like, I think all these matchups could be very close just because there's a lot of variables at play. Like I said, Commanders versus a terrible pass defense. Rams versus a pretty good defense in the Eagles, but they have a lot of playmakers on that. I know they have a lot of playmakers on that defense for the Eagles, but there's a lot of playmakers on that offense. And the defense for the Rams has stepped up. I mean, the Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, Texans, if Texans play defense, I mean, if their defense looks like they did last week or in a couple other wins that they've had when they played the Lions and they picked off Jared Goff 4 or 5 times. I mean, Patrick Mahomes throws picks. You could see it. So it's like all these games could be good games.
What percent chance do you give the Ravens? Because that's the closest spread on paper. That's the closest, like,
I'd say the Bills and Ravens, I would give like if for me, why I picked the Bills is I'm like 51-49. Like, wow. I think that game could go either direction. How do you realistically do you factor weather in? Because the Ravens play in cold weather too. Do you factor weather? You can't. Like, I know there's gonna be a lot of snow, but like
more in the playoffs, like, maybe.
And this is what I'm gonna say. If there's a lot of snow, who's got the better run game?
Ravens.
Yep. So who wins
by
the football
far
game? Right?
Yeah, by far.
Who wins the football game? I know Josh Allen can run, and I know James Cook is good. I know he can. He's not great, but he's good, right? James Cook can get you some yards. But if you want to go run game to run game, who's going to win it? Derrick Henry. Like, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Like, you can't beat it. So it's like, that's where I would draw the line is where could it become close? I think the run game in Buffalo, because it might snow. It might be slippery. It might be a slick field.
Yeah, I'm seeing around. I mean, this is at night. I don't know when they're considering at. No, not really. So between 20 and 10 degrees. So anywhere in between there. Chance of snow, but no accumulation. So
okay.
But windy, 15 to 25 mile per hour winds. So
okay.
Something.
Yeah, it could affect it. It could affect it there, so we'll see. I mean, a lot of good games coming up this weekend here. We got the NFL playoffs kicking off. We know the college football playoff coming up, or the championship coming up on Monday there. It's such a weird – you know what you should have done is put it on Saturday. You should have.
Yep, I've always
put it on Saturday. I know that the 1 seeds for the NFL play then. Put like one of the NFL games on at noon, and then put the other game on at like 3:30. And then give me the college football playoff at 7. Perfect. All that build up for a college football game then, right? Monday is such a weird time. It's such a weird time to think I'm going to watch college football on a Monday, right? It's so stupid. Like, you're not – the NFL is Sundays. College football is Saturdays. Make it Saturday. I don't care what you got to do. Make it Saturday.
Even if it was tonight, even if it was a Friday night, you're getting
other than a freaking
eyeballs.
Monday. Like, I remember the national championship when they had it in, what was it, in Arizona for basketball, and it started at like 8:00 at night here. And it's like, the game's, I mean, it's 10:00 by the time you guys hit the second half. Like, I don't want to watch that. Like, I don't know. Just stupid to me there. But, Aaron, we're way over the hour 30 mark tonight here. But we had a lot of good talk. A lot of good Brewer talk there. I mean, just a devastating news that we got the other day there. And, I mean, Brewer baseball, I just don't – it's never going to be the same. It won't be the same, but we persevere. We move on. I know Jeff. I love Jeff Levering. I love Jeff Levering on the radio. I love Lane Grindle. I know they're going to do their darndest to put together a good radio broadcast for the Brewer game. So, I mean, we wait and see on that one there. We wait and see on that one. But again, I mean, rest in peace to the greatest broadcaster, the icon, the greatest person in Wisconsin sports. That's what I gotta say. The greatest person in Wisconsin sports, and maybe all of baseball. Maybe all of baseball there, because it sucks. It really does. It sucks for the state of Wisconsin there. But we'll move on. We'll get through it. We have the memories. We have the memories. We have the calls. We have everything in between there of the great Bob Euchre there. So, Aaron, I mean, that's about all we got for the night here. Badgers tomorrow, 2:00, taking on USC. We got the NFL playoffs. It's a heck of a weekend. It's a heck of a weekend. Sunday, we're going to come back here. We're going to talk the Brian Gutekunst press conference, because he did speak on a couple days ago there. I want to get to the Brian Gutekunst recap of the season, essentially. They're talking about what he had to say to some of the players and what he thinks coming forward there. We got a little bit more. I mean, there's more to talk about in that Matt LaFleur press conference there, so we might get some more questions that he answered in there. We got lots to get to on Sunday here. We're going to recap that game, Wisconsin and USC. We're going to look ahead to UCLA. Holy crap, we got a lot to get to there on Sunday. So with that, for Aaron and myself, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll catch you